I've worked with many schmoes over the years. They're my sidekicks and friends, so I adore them. All the schmoes of the world unite. Joker's here, and he's glad he is.
From the Schmoes No Network Studios in Los Angeles, California, it is time for the Schmoes No Movie Show. Tonight, the author of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, Chris Taylor. Fun and games, and the return of the Pit Boss. Now, here are your hosts, Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and Alicia Malone.
Hello, Schmoeville. That's right, it's the Schmoes No Movie Show. We are back. The whole crew is back. It feels like a damn reunion, and Schmoeville should be damn proud because of our guest tonight. You made it happen. Chris Taylor, the author of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, is going to be live in studio. But Mark, we have a special announcement before we announce you and Alicia.
That is Christian. My name is Mark.
Oh, yeah.
We do have Alicia Malone coming up. This is not the Schmoes No Movie Show anymore.
It's
you guys
not.
know that? We
No.
are changing the name officially to the award-nominated Schmoes No Movie Show. We got
Again, you.
nominated for Best Movie Podcast by Podcast Awards. Now, Christian, Alicia, how the hell do the good people of Schmoeville make us get this trophy?
Alicia?
They vote, I think, right?
They vote, I think. No, you absolutely, guys. So here's how this works. You, first of all, are the reason that we got nominated, so thank you for that. All you have to do is you go to podcastawards.com. You can vote every day until the 24th.
Once a day.
Yeah, go to the movies section, and literally you can do it right now. Go to podcastawards.com. If you're watching it on the replay, and then go to the movie section, hit the Schmoes No selection, and then submit it, and hopefully we win and get to go to Vegas and watch Wild Man get drunk.
Yeah, we recommend just making this a part of your weekly regimen, your daily regimen.
Yep,
Wake up, you take your Flintstones vitamins, you click that vote button, then you go for a run or whatever you do with your day. Do drugs. We don't really care as long as we get the vote. That's that's the big thing here.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure, please. And if you're watching it, if not live, if you're watching it live, you can do that right now. Open up another window and do it. Same thing tomorrow if you're doing it and you're watching it on the replay. Vote there.
Big show tonight, kiddies, and also we are joined by the one, the only Miss Alicia Malone.
Yeah, so one of our cohorts on AMC Movie Talk.
Yes,
and how you
exciting
doing?
stuff. Am I even on? Yes.
Yeah, you're on.
I am.
You're on.
I can hear your
it in my
voice
head.
just fine.
I know you're excited tonight because we're going to be talking a little bit about 71.
Yes, one of my favorite films that I've seen in the last few months.
Oh,
Definitely.
that's okay. And as well, we're gonna talk a little bit about Chappie. Don't worry, no spoilers at all. But we're just gonna bring up a situation to what certain directors sometimes maybe get so much hype behind them, and if they can't live up to the standards, how does that play in their future? Can he bounce back? It's gonna be a fun discussion.
Yeah, we got some unfinished business.
Oh yeah, that's a good one to talk about.
It's the other movie. It's coming out.
I like it.
And this weekend.
Yeah, and you know what we're gonna do? So if you guys, first of all, if you're not familiar with the show, we've been playing a segment on this show since Phase 2. We're now Phase 5, but in Phase 2, we came up with this game called very, very creative title. The Game.
I think I came up with it. I think I was like, hey, we should call this something really cool.
Maybe. I don't know. You take credit for my stuff, so I don't know.
It's capitalized.
It is. So we're either gonna play the game, or we just recently came up with another game called Tagline,
Which was all you. That was all you.
Yeah, so Tagline is where there's a bunch of different movie taglines that Upham throws out there. We have to guess what they are. So you guys get what we're gonna do is we're gonna tweet out. We're gonna tweet out right now. We're gonna tweet out. Would you guys rather see us play the game or a tagline? If you want to see us play the game, retweet it. If you want to see us play tagline, then favorite.
Do it.
So that's what I'm going to do right now.
You understand? There's two different things you can do on Twitter. So if you want to see tagline, you favorite it. If you want to play the game, you retweet it. Now, we just happen to have in studio the current reigning champion of tagline game, Mark Ellis, is joining the show today.
And the current champion of the game, Josh McCouga.
What?
Yeah.
You won a game?
He won last time, yeah.
He's usually just here for, for everybody else to kind of...
Guys,
What a dick.
listen,
You're like our homecoming game.
I ran through the Schmoedown like that mower in that terrible M. Night Shyamalan movie that's rolling over those people.
In The Happening?
In The Happening.
You were rolling over people in the
Yes.
showdown?
I think
Really?
you just left.
rolled
You didn't
over,
cheat.
crushed
You didn't
Bonnie
cheat.
Somerville.
You didn't cheat?
Right.
You didn't cheat?
There was no cheating.
Did you hear this?
There was no cheating
hear
at
that?
all.
No, I didn't hear that.
It was a bulldozer of
I
human
think
emotion.
You're just
Turn his
really
microphone
lucky. He's just really lucky because he also got tied with me and Cody for the Oscar ballot as well, and I don't know how he did that.
Well, I know how, because he hosted it and he was probably keeping score too. JT, can you make sure you pull that sound clip that Makuga just said? All I want to hear is when he said, "I crushed Bonnie Somerville." That's all I want to hear out of that.
Yeah, all right. Good news. All right, now the other thing, by the way, for the last 3 weeks, not only have we missed out on Mark Riley, our editor-in-chief is back.
Yeah.
The reigning Ultimate Schmoedown champion.
Hi,
nice
everybody.
To have you back, buddy.
Where were you?
Hi, everybody.
Very nice.
Where the
hell have you been?
Did you get deathly ill at a corporate restaurant again?
Yeah, no, I went. Yeah, Chili's suing them. No, but that's no. I've been busy with the project, and I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to announce something soon. But
it's good to have you back, buddy.
Thank you. Good to be back.
Mark Riley, of course, editor-in-chief of schmoes.com. If you're not getting all your movie news there, then what the hell's wrong with you? Go check there every day. Mark and our great team of writers there every day kicking ass.
I love it.
But you know what else we've missed?
I have missed this segment a lot. It's my favorite segment on the show. It's all downhill after this.
Here it comes. You haven't had it in a while. The Pit Boss is back with the news.
Yes! Hey!
Oh, this is big.
I'm Ken Apsuk, and these are your Schmoes Know headlines, brought to you by schmoesknow.com, your source for movie news, reviews, and clues. The rumors of my death as a news jerk have been greatly exaggerated, and while I'm still not at full strength, I apologize. I am happy to be back at the podium. Thanks for your support. Your top story tonight, I've got a bad feeling about this. As late Monday, Mosquito Coast actor Harrison Ford crashed a small vintage airplane into the Penmar Golf Course in Mar Vista, California. While he was certainly injured, he survived, but initial reports varied from having Ford in critical condition to serious condition to walking away with only face lacerations and asking witnesses, was that under 12 parsecs?
Oh, Kenny.
This is not the first air crash for the long-time private aviator, and of course he famously survived a shattered ankle last year while filming Star Wars. And let's not forget he once wrote a life rap out of a crashing plane and then let it down a roaring river.
Good point.
Oh, that was a movie. Movie. Oh, okay. Our best wishes to one of our favorites, Harrison Ford.
Yep.
The final theatrical trailer for Marvel's Age of Ultron was released this week, and already support groups have been formed for those finding themselves addicted to its awesome assault on the senses. The trailer includes, but is not limited to, ominous James Spader dialogue, Ultron drones, Quicksilver sucker-punching Cap, Iron Dude and Green Hulk Hogan fighting, snappy one-liners in the middle of serious situations, and Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo about to exchange one of those, quote, open mouth kisses my mom said I should never have before I get married. Also, we got our first brief glimpse of The Vision. All in all, it looks like Marvel might just maybe quite possibly break even on this film. It hits theaters in the U.S. on May 1st, but it will be released in Kazakhstan on April 23rd. So, by all means, make the trip, kids. Make the trip. In Steven Spielberg news, it doesn't involve making an Indiana Jones parody with Chris Pratt. Deadline is reporting that Warner Brothers is close to winning a highly competitive bidding battle to turn war photographer Lindsay Adario's memoir, It's What I Do, A Photographer's Life of Love and War, into a film. Spielberg would direct, with Jennifer Lawrence in line to play the brave and accomplished war photog who, among other things, survived a 5-day stint as a captive by pro-Gaddafi forces in 2011. Also, Spielberg's Cold War film starring Tom Hanks now has a title, Bridge of Spies, and John Williams will be doing the score, marking the 27th collaboration between the composer and director, breaking the previous record set by Ron Jeremy and Herman Beefcake for their work in late-night Skinamax movies. Look it up. Bridge of Spies is set for an October 16, 2015 release. Meanwhile, World War II keeps texting Spielberg asking, are you seeing other wars behind my back? Just tell me, are we through? Big potential spoiler for Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Expands. Its marketing reach surfaced this week, but I shan't be covering it. And if you tweet the spoiler to me, I will murder you to death. The movie is still set for December 18th, 2015 release, which still puts us at DEFCON 5 for avoiding spoilers, with the live-action Cinderella collecting positive reviews and building anticipation among Disney fans. The live-action Beauty and the Beast is expanding its cast. As we know from reading Mark Ellis's diary, Emma Watson is already on board to portray Belle. But her beast will be Dan Stevens, known mostly as Matthew Crawley on Downton Abbey to the people who can actually find PBS on their TV. Also joining the production will be Luke Evans, who will be playing the film's antagonist, Gaston. For those not familiar with the plot of Beauty and the Beast, it's the story of a good girl getting back at her father by dating a guitar player in a metal band. No? No? Is that it? No? It's not it, huh? I've never seen it. For what I think is the 42nd time, we can confirm that Jeff Goldblum will be back for Independence Day 2 and Will Smith will not. And we can now confirm that Liam Hemsworth and Jesse Usher have joined the production. Hemsworth looks to be playing the son-in-law of Bill Pullman's president character, and Usher will be playing the stepson of Will Smith's character seen in the first movie. Meanwhile, Randy Quaid has just been cast in a movie. He'll be shooting himself in a hotel room near the Canadian border on a handheld camera he stole from a pawn shop in Akron, Ohio, while yelling, "Not this time, Rupert Murdoch, not this time." It doesn't have a theatrical release date, but it will be submitted as evidence at some point. Finally, we at Schmoes Know would like to pay our respects to the memory of Leonard Nimoy, the beloved actor behind everyone's favorite Vulcan Spock, who passed away on February 27th. A bit of a Renaissance man whose talents went well beyond playing one iconic character. Nimoy was a director, writer, poet, photographer, musical artist, look up the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins, and once a U.S. Army Staff Sergeant and inspiration to many people in many walks of life. While it sounds like an easy pun, it actually rings true. Leonard Nimoy lived long and prospered. He was 83. I'm Ken Epsock, and I will go cough now. And those were your Schmoes Know headlines, brought to you by schmoesknow.com.
What a welcome return.
That was fantastic.
I don't know how I made it 3 or 4 weeks without the news. Like, just the smile that brings to my... That's the closest that I get to Christmas morning, where you're just smiling consistently for 10 minutes.
Makuga looks like he's 7 years old when Ken's on it. He's falling off the couch.
Did you that Akron, Ohio joke?
Great.
He's got like asthma attack. The fact that he even got through that is amazing.
It was the joke that kept on giving the whole year.
Well, here's something else that keeps on giving. We're lucky when we talk about Schmoville all the time and how great you guys are as fans. So if you guys have noticed, the last 2 shows, the show and the last one, we have a brand new opening for the show.
Yeah.
That was done by Joel Souza, who is a Schmovillian, and sent that to us. It was really...
He did the shirt, too. Right?
Joel Souza also did the shirt.
Yeah.
He's done a bunch of shirts for us as well, too. I'm going to put a link up from my own personal Twitter for Joel's photography page, and he wanted everybody to see that. And Joel's really awesome. And, again, the intro you see is from Joel Souza. And follow him on Twitter and thank him for his great work, at Joel, Sousa. So, a lot of cool stories that were going on today. Alicia, I wanted to ask you about not only the Spielberg project that he's doing with Jennifer Lawrence, but I know that you've covered both Spielberg and John Williams on Profiles.
Yeah.
How cool is it that these two are teaming up again, and what does that mean for film in general?
It's awesome. I love this, that Spielberg and John Williams have been working together for half of John Williams' life. They've been working for over 40 years together, and they have such a great partnership together. They know what each other's thinking, and I think that's really important when it comes to composing music for a film. And he is so clever, John Williams. The stuff he comes up with is just unlike anything we've heard, and it just makes a film so much more epic.
You know, every time you think that guy might have lost some heat off his fastball, he comes up with this. You remember the score to 10-10? How good that was?
Yeah.
That was just about and that wasn't that long ago. And I think that what he does well is that he can be great and huge and bombastic, like Star Wars or Superman, but he can also go very understated.
Yeah,
and
he
you
knows when to pare it
Yeah,
back.
you barely even know that you're feeling something from the music because you don't really. It's not something. It's a tertiary sense it's happening that's coming into you from from the back end, so you don't notice it's happening, but it is affecting you.
Well, his songs become characters in the movie. They really do.
They do, and they're so familiar. You might not have ever seen Jaws, but you hear the theme and you know exactly what movie it's from.
You know right away. I mean, I've been listening to Star Wars and Jurassic Park and he's got and Indiana Jones. But listen to so many recently in this car. I just have a John Williams Pandora station that I just listened to over.
Do you?
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
in the car I listen to it, and he's still got it. And you just don't know if he'll ever quit because he's so damn good. But I also want to get your opinions. Here's something for you guys. Hashtag Schmoes Know. This is, by the way, again, if you're new to the show, what we do, we try to read all the a lot of tweets from Schmoville. Hashtag Schmoes Know, and tell us your favorite score from John Williams, or your favorite, maybe if it's a piece. I know that Yoda, you like Yoda's theme. That's one of your favorites, right? And from Star Wars.
Oh, from Star Wars?
Yeah. Superman also.
Well, Superman, yeah. From Star Wars, I think I'm the Force theme, the Binary Sunset.
Okay.
That's my favorite all time.
Okay.
And then Yoda, and then I I'll just go on forever.
Yeah.
I just think that the opening of Star Wars is so good. You know, it's either that or the Imperial March because they just, you know what they do? They shut everybody up. It doesn't matter what's going on. When you hear that somewhere, you shut up and you pay attention. Right. You know that, and then clearly the Jaws theme. I love going to the ocean. I love going in the water. I love swimming in the beach. I love baiting the sharks, saying, "Hey, here's some Mark Ellis flesh. Come get some."
Come to Australia.
Every time I'm in there, I think the Jaws theme. As soon as I walk in there, and it's an emotional hurdle I have to get over.
You know, what a lot of people forget also is, and Eric Slabby says this on the YouTube chat room, is that you forget that John Williams also came up with the original Harry Potter theme.
Yeah.
He didn't. A lot of people forget that.
And everything sounds different from each other. They're very much particular to that film. And Jaws' theme is my favourite because what he's able to do with two notes, it's similar to the Psycho theme that Bernard Herrmann did, where it's the
right.
You know, it's just so simple but effective.
Yeah. So it's great to see that they're going to be back to it. And you talk about different score. Obviously, this tone is going to be different because, as with Saving Private Ryan, they work together as well, and he knows how. I mean, he's such a brilliant composer, obviously, but you will feel the emotion and you will feel everything that is happening.
This one's more of a modern war film
I mean,
too,
we were all touched by 9/11. You know, we're all gonna and the fact of, and I said this on AMC Movie Talk, is that I think that it's not just going to be the theme. The movie is called "This Is What I Do," and it's not just what she does. I think it's going to be the firemen, the policemen, like everyone involved. It's going to be a theme of everyone involved that day. Is what I'm taking out.
Yeah, I mean, having Spielberg involved in something like this is. I mean, look, the guy made a movie about a horse and I fell in love with the damn horse, you know, in World War I because of this guy. So he can literally take anything and make it interesting subject matter. So I don't think he's going to have a problem here. The other movie sounds awesome. The one with Tom Hanks, the Bridge of Spies. Is that what it's called? That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, that sounds awesome. And I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's such a brilliant actress because she's quite young, but she somehow is able to understand these people.
She seems a lot more mature than how
it's
old
like,
she
how
is.
does she understand these characters that she might not have ever experienced before? She's brilliant.
McCoog's got something?
I heard the interview with this woman on NPR last week, and it was one of those ones where I just didn't get out of my car until it was over.
The woman who Jennifer Lawrence is
playing. And she like so matter-of-factly talked about her experience over there. Like it was just like, oh, I went to my friend's house for a drink and then left. And the story is shockingly unbelievable.
Well, I mean, so you know, the team involved is it's going to be a must see, and you're probably going to hear a lot about it during Oscar season. A lot of things. Now, what you can't get away from right now on Twitter, and even on the way over here, I'm getting phone calls about it, and everyone's wondering why we're not talking about it right away. And that's Harrison Ford got himself into a plane crash. The guy flies a lot. And he's 72 years old, but I'll tell you why. And the only reason I'm going to even have a little bit of a lighthearted with this because they're reporting now that he's okay. Ken, can you put on the can for a second? Because Ken and I were talking about this at dinner right beforehand. Yeah. So what condition is he in right now?
The last I heard is he walked away with serious head injuries, lacerations, that kind of automatically puts you into serious and critical anytime it's a head injury. So he was then transported, and he's just getting treatment for that.
He's tough.
I like that we went to Ken, like Ken's on the scene. Like that was a cool newsroom thing we just did.
At the no.
You know, and I've played Penmar Golf Course before. Mukuga, you've played Penmar Golf Course where he crashed. There's not a lot. It's not Augusta National. It's not a huge golf course.
No, but you know who's there? Doctors. Tons of doctors. And doctors. Ford knew it. He's like, crash on the one with the doctors.
But what's hilarious, it's
two doctors were playing that hole.
You know what they were doing?
That area.
They were blowing off work because they didn't want to see patients, and they see a planker, like, oh, God damn it, I can't get away from this job. But luckily they were there, and they, I guess, could take care of him.
No,
it's also far from his first crash.
Yeah, no, he's tons of times. In 99, he had a big one.
Helicopter crash.
Right,
He's been flying. Planes are scary.
He's been flying for a long time, and you know, the guy's 72 years old, and that's not to say that his age had anything to do with the crash, but you know, it's we don't know. From what they're saying, is something happened with the plane. It was a World War II plane. You know, so
you know, my first thought was I wonder if it looks like that plane, and then I saw the clips of it. It looks exactly like the plane he gets into at the beginning of the Raiders of the Lost Ark when you know his buddy's flying. He's got the snake in there. This is why I love and hate Twitter at the same time, because I went on my Twitter account and I was looking at it, and then you see some people are tweeting he's in critical condition, and then he walked away from it. And so just by consensus of people you follow on Twitter, you get a perspective of how.
And you hear about it first on Twitter sometimes.
Always.
Like,
Yeah, that's where I heard it first. Yeah.
And you never know if it's real or not.
No, I mean, I started getting so many. And then what I usually do is that I had gotten something, I pulled over, Googled it, and saw that it was legit. But because a lot of people were tweeting it to me, hey, did you hear about Harrison Ford? I'm like, all right, let me see. So I pulled over, look at Google, and then they said, I was, because at the time it just said critical. And Ken had pointed out, too, that anytime it's a head injury, it's automatically critical.
Yeah.
So, but now they're saying he's walking around, he's doing good, and he's expected to make a full recovery.
Yay,
so
good.
that's good. Okay,
Well, thank you to Ken, thank you to Google, thank you to Ask Jeeves, all the web engines that let us figure out that Harrison Ford is okay.
All right, let's read some of these tweets that you guys had come in about the John Williams scores real quick, and let's see. Oh yeah, we're definitely talking about that. But okay, best.
Well, that was a nice little foreshadowing, wasn't it?
I talked to myself there. At Goody1969 says, best John Williams theme by far to me is Princess Leia's theme. Best overall score is Superman the movie. At Camel Michael says, E.T. is my favorite John Williams score. At Grandpa Caramba, Binary Sunset and Superman are my favorite and most emotionally engaging.
Well, it was so nice to hear from Richard Donner, who directed Superman, about hearing that theme for the first time. He said he was overcome with emotion.
Yeah.
And Christopher Reeve was just like, this is the best thing ever, because it says Superman.
Right.
Yeah, it happens every time I'm at the gym and that thing comes on. You up the treadmill a little bit. You're ready to. It's Superman's theme. This new crap, and that's why I love the one good thing about Superman Returns is that they put in some of the John Williams theme. The new one, the Man of Steel. Look, is it a better movie than Superman Returns? Probably, but the theme, I need a bombastic theme like that. So I hope that when they made the announcement that what's the dude's name who's doing the Justice League, he's doing an individual theme for each one.
Oh, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer's doing that. So I hope that he can come up with some cool themes that echo something like a John Williams.
Great. It really brings it all together.
Yeah,
when
I think it's smart. I think that's, and Riley and I talk about this all the time. It's one of the things for me that Marvel has. Like, there's some composers that they've kept on, but then they change them up. And so like if you look at the Winter Soldier, right? You only get a brief of Captain America's theme, and then they switched up Thor's composer after the first one. They because they don't feel. I guess they don't feel that important.
Is it cheap? Is it dollars and cents?
Riley, why does Marvel do this? Do you think?
The way that it breaks down with composing is that you get the composer, like John Williams, is rich because everybody that. Like Superman Returns, for instance, when they use the Superman theme in Superman Returns, even though Ottman did the composing, they had to pay John Williams to use the theme. So they're not paying these composers like Alan Silvestri for the Avengers theme. We're not getting the Avengers theme, by the way.
No, I know.
We're not. They're getting rid of that, which pisses me off.
But they're bringing in somebody really good. I forget who they're bringing
Brian
in.
Tyler, I think.
No, is Tyler doing it? No, he's not doing the Avengers.
I thought it was Tyler.
It's somebody. That's not Jake. It's somebody great.
I'll look it up.
It's somebody great.
I bet it's some guy named Wolfgang.
They're not repaying their composers to use it. They could hire a new composer and use the theme, which was my vote. But like Patrick Doyle's Thor score is the best out of all the Marvel movies, in my opinion. But they're not using those themes anymore, so they don't have to pay, so they can just keep changing them out. And it's a big thing that I wish they would do differently.
Henry Jackman is doing Avengers.
Henry Jackman is
doing Avengers.
No. Yeah, Cobbs, we're getting the no sign from Cobster.
Don't tell me no. Henry Jackman's doing Avengers.
The studio is there's a mutiny in the engineering booth.
Cobster.
Riley's rusty. He hasn't been in the studio in 3 weeks.
Brian Tyler's doing the Avengers too. You sure?
Wow.
I was right.
I don't know.
But then also Danny Elfman got added on there, right? Because maybe there's something else. There's additional music composed by Danny Elfman, so maybe that's, I don't know. But it says Danny Elfman, so it's very, very neat. The point is that John Williams is rich because Shaquille O'Neal loves the Superman theme. Every time he walks on a basketball court, they played that.
Yes, it was. That's right.
Brian Tyler. There's your answer.
Yeah, well, he did Iron Man. So they use him a lot, man. They use him a lot. It's just so we'll see what they use him for. I thought for some reason it was Henry Jackman. Okay.
You sit in your car all day. You don't even drive anywhere. You just listen to the John Williams. You just listen to the Pandora in the garage.
Did you see him at the Hollywood Bowl? Have you seen him?
Yeah, I've seen him at the Bowl. I saw him with Riley. Riley and I went last year.
Yeah, I was so excited to get the report when you guys went to the Hollywood Bowl. I was sitting there. I was like, "What did he open with? What, was it Star Wars? Was it Superman? Hook." He opened with 45 minutes of Hook.
Yeah, he did.
What in God's name are you thinking?
Hook is pretty damn good.
Hook is great.
Hook is really great.
Yes,
Hook is underrated for his score.
What did Hook do to you? You do not like Hook.
The movie's not good, and the music's not memorable.
All right.
It's not memorable,
Bangarang, Rufio.
Yeah, thank you.
Aerosmith doesn't open with Rats in the Cellar, okay? They're going to open with something kick-ass.
What an asshole.
Don't compare Aerosmith to Hook.
Aerosmith is the John Williams of rock band.
All right, listen. We have just in a little bit. You talk about the power of Twitter and power of Schmoes. Ken had brought this book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. He brought it and he said, dude, you got to read this. And I read it and I could have put it down. And then I told you guys about it. I've been talking about it on AMC Movie Talk. I've been talking about it on this show. And I said to you guys, go and tweet Chris Taylor because we need to get him on the show. In about 5 to 6 minutes, you'll be seeing what your work did because Chris Taylor will be in here. We're going to talk to him about it.
Future Boy is going to be here in the future in about 6 minutes.
Yeah, but before we do that, let's talk about what we teased in the beginning. And that was, got to talk about Neil Blomkamp here.
Yes.
So,
are we doing this now?
Got to. Let's do it. You want?
Oh, Jesus. All right.
Well, in the first half.
Let's start stretching.
In the first half. So, Neil Blomkamp is a guy that with District... Now, first of all, when Neil Blomkamp first was announced, he was going to do the Halo movie.
Yeah.
Because he had done this short film, then Peter Jackson found him, and Peter Jackson produced District 9, and he came out of the gate, and look, I know some people don't like District 9, but for the majority of people love that movie. I am one of those people. Loved it. Couldn't wait to see his next one, and people were talking, this guy's going to be the next big thing. People were hoping that he was going to do Star Wars and all these. It was coming out everywhere. This guy was going to the big next sci-fi director. So then Elysium comes out. There are different opinions. You're seeing two of them right now. Alice loved the movie.
Yep.
Gave it a 5 out of 5.
Yes, I did.
I thought it was okay at best. And now you get a movie like Chappie, which all around the board is kind of a stinker.
Oh my God, it's so disappointing to be behind some dude and be like, no, this is the guy you want to do something like Aliens, which is what he is doing, or Star Wars, which is what I was hoping he was going to do next. Then you see Chappie and you're like, geez, this thing is just and every time I think about it, you know when you see a movie and you walk out and be like, that wasn't that good, and then you keep thinking about it.
Sometimes we look at each other afterwards and we're like, okay, wait, we're going to be on different sides here.
Yeah.
We both were just like,
well, we'll start talking about it too, and as it gets out into dialogue, as you put these thoughts out in the ether, you're like, you know what, I really didn't like that movie at all, and it actually started to get worse and worse and worse. Now, what Neil Blomkamp, you can't argue about that guy, is that he's got spectacular visuals, right? The special effects look great, the way Chappie looked great, as did the aliens in District 9, as did all that futuristic crap in Elysium. The way that robot blew up was cooler than anything I've seen in a Transformers movie, okay? But I think that everybody's concerned about his storytelling ability because I don't, and it doesn't make me panic as much because I know he co-wrote the Chappie with somebody else. But the way a guy tells a story is different than if a guy's handed a great story and then he interprets that. So that is what I would be looking for with the Star Wars movie. That thing's going to go through a bunch of writers, a bunch of drafts. There's going to be a team of people that sit down and break down the things, as opposed to one guy's singular vision, But
let's not even talk about Star Wars right now. Are you worried about Aliens? Because he was just announced as Aliens. He's got a vision for it. Now, I like the Alien and Aliens. I'm a big fan of. Okay, I like the franchise a lot. I am not as diehard as you are with Alien and Aliens. Like, I appreciate it, and I think they're great movies. But I'm not like the fanboy of it the way I am for like Star Wars. So I still am saying, give the guy a shot, even though I've seen Chappie. There might be a lot of hardcore Aliens fans that are like, Copster, you're a big Aliens fan, right? Put the cans on. So Copster saw Chappie with us last night without spoiling anything. Put the camera on this character too. So are you as an Alien fan, worried now with Blomkamp doing Aliens?
I'm not actually, no, because if we get different writers to do it, I think he's a great director. Just don't give him the treatment to write anything. Yeah. And not only that, I think the reason why he's doing Aliens now is because they give him a franchise that maybe he was starting to see, maybe Chappie's not doing as well as I thought. So maybe he's just going to go away from the original content, and then he's just going to go do franchise stuff, and maybe that's going to work out better. It'll be something different for him, too. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but you also mentioned vision, and I think the vision of Chappie's...
Not Vision from Ultron.
I think the vision of Chappie is awesome. I think that's a great story you could have told. There's so many great stories in there. The fact that it's like a RoboCop, something like that, where you have this futuristic police force, and then they train one, and it's kind of learning. I liked seeing those elements in Chappie, so I think that if that guy comes up with a story...
And trust more, right?
Then it could be awesome.
And I agree with you. I think because visually, there's no arguing. Visually and special effects, he knows how to handle it. And the one action scene that's in the movie is great. The problem, again, is the writing. And he's got to stop... listening to Pandora in his car, liking the band, and then putting people in the movies. He's got to stop. He was going to put Eminem in, and Eminem was good in 8 Mile. I don't know how he would have been in Elysium, but he was going to put Eminem in Elysium, and then he put this. What's the band called?
Well, my
Die Antwoord.
Yeah, but my South African friend says it's Die Antwoord. And she hates Die Antwoord.
They are. It's not even necessarily they were bad actors, but they focused on them so long in this movie, and the characters weren't likable.
They were huge Neil Blomkamp fans. Ninja, who's the guy, he has a District 9 tattoo on his inner lip.
Oh, well,
so
that's
they're
nice.
Hardcore fans, but I don't think that they got along.
They didn't get along. The rumors are that they didn't get along at all. Apparently, I was reading this last night, is that Ninja was an asshole.
Yeah, it was really hard to work with, and they had to do a lot of reshoots, and it sounds like it suffered. I worry about his storytelling, because District 9 was brilliant. I like the way it looked at a big concept through a small way, and that's what indie films can do really well. But Elysium, not so good. But I did like that he came out this week and he said that, okay, I get it.
Is he going to do it again?
Elysium wasn't so good. He might have to do it again, and you can't do it multiple times.
I do appreciate. I
saved that card.
I loved Elysium, but I appreciate when somebody is honest about, it's like, hey, I didn't like that. I didn't like that as much. That one wasn't as good as the previous one I did. So I think this guy, people have written off M. Night Shyamalan for the most part because he made so many bad movies.
And the Wachowskis.
And the Wachowskis are getting in there too. But I think that people like the Wachowskis, and I think that people like Neil Blomkamp, I think that they can still come back. I think M. Night Shyamalan can come back. So I love a good comeback story. I don't think Neil Blomkamp is in that category.
I don't think so,
he's
not
close.
yet. But he's got to knock. I'll tell you what. I think that, like I said, I still think he's the right guy for Aliens, the third one or whatever it is, the
3.5,
whatever they decide, wherever it goes in story. I still think he's the right guy, but he has to knock it out of the park.
He has to.
I really regret getting Chappie tattooed on my lower lip now. That was the wrong decision.
All right, well,
sorry, Mom.
Well, what was not a wrong decision was buying that book, and now we get to talk to the author after the break. Chris Taylor's going to be in studio after the break, and Schmoeville, we're going to talk about Schmoevillian of the Week. We're going to talk about some T-shirts that we got on the new store. A lot of great stuff coming up. Schmoes, no movies. Kingsman, nice.
Hey guys, Maria Menounos here, and I want to share my newest book, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, with you. Basically, every woman always stops me and asks me how I lost 40 pounds, so I decided to put it all in one book. Everything I did to lose 40 pounds step by step, and how you can too, is in here. I did it with no time, no money, and no willpower, and now I'm going to show you how to do it too. You can pre-order it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever books are sold, and it's out June 3rd. So I hope you guys love it. I hope it helps you in your weight loss journey, and please, please tweet me and update me on your progress at Maria Menounos. Thanks.
What's up, Schmoeville? It's me, the Wild Man, Josh McCouga. You guys know me from the podcast and Wild Man TV, but did you also know I have my own talk show? It's called Between the Sheets. I bring on comedians, TV personalities, adult stars, and we talk about everything, but mostly sex. So go to my YouTube channel, The Casual Mafia, subscribe, and see every episode of Between the Sheets. We done? Yeah, I'll be right there, sweet.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah Stratton. I'm here with my wonderful co-host JT and Finstock. And we want you all to tune in for our show. We show on Mondays box office breakdown for the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk about all the weekend's numbers, all the big movies. What else we got, JT?
We break it down, not only the numbers here, but we do domestic. We have a great game with foreign titles that Finstock runs, which is hilarious. This is your one-stop spot for entertainment and news.
I got this Jennifer Lawrence story if you guys want to hear it really quickly.
Of course.
Yeah, none of your stories are quick. We have 20 seconds, guys. I need you all to subscribe on YouTube, download us on iTunes, and, of course, watch us on Mondays.
Poof.
Stand-up comedy, sketch comedy, screenwriting, radio, acting, professional wrestling, love, life. Ken Napzok, the producer of the Schmoes Know podcast, has failed at all of these things, but his friends haven't. So join Ken as he makes his wonderful friends your friends, including some of your favorite Schmoes Know characters as they discuss life, the universe, and everything on The Napzok Files. Available on Stitcher and iTunes. Hashtag The Napzok Files to join the conversation.
Hello, Profilers! Welcome to Profiles with Malone and Mance. Every week on Profiles, we celebrate and spotlight the greatest filmmakers, actors, and actresses of all time.
We count down our 5 favorite films. We have little trivia, quizzes, special guests calling in. Basically, if you are a film geek like us, this is the show you need to be listening to or watching.
This is where we get to geek out about movies and have fun and learn something in the process. Make sure you join us every single week with fun trivia. We have special guests calling in. We even sit down with special guests on camera. So make sure you go to iTunes and subscribe to Profiles with Malone and Mance. Rate and review us. That is very important.
And you can see these beautiful faces of ours at youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network.
Go Profiles with Malone and Mance. Woohoo!
Back on the Schmoes No Movie Show. Christian Harloff. I am Mark Ellis. Over there is Alicia Malone. Hi. And before we bring in our special guest today, Christian, I want to talk about TeePublic. That's where our merch store is, teepublic.com/Schmoes. From time to time, you can always get shirts that are based on stuff inside, outside of Schmoville. And then for a limited time, we'll put on special edition t-shirts.
Like the Lego shirt.
Like the Lego shirt when the Lego guy was flipping off the Oscars, rightfully so. And now we have one that is just, this design might have topped the Lego one.
I love it. Look at that. Because you got Star Wars Celebration coming up, and what better way to celebrate than Kylo Ren slicing Jar Jar's head right off his body. Then he asked what that cross saber is all about. There you go. Now you can only get that. It's going to only be available on the store until right before Celebration, which is like April 16th. So make sure if you want to get it. And by the way, a Red Fury shirt is coming soon. There's going to be a Pit Boss shirt, a Wildman shirt. They're all coming soon. So make sure you just keep checking up on that store. Now, like I mentioned before the break, you guys really made this happen. Ken brought in How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. It is a book that not only Star Wars fans should read. It is film lovers. It is really a story, like creative people that want to just write stories should read. You want to get into the ins and outs of how Star Wars really happened and everything from the beginning, the prequels. I could not put this book down. and you guys know how much of a diehard fan I am in general, but like to know not just about canon stuff, I wanted to know about how it was made. The things I never heard before, things I had heard, but more expansion on that happens in this book. And because of you guys, the author of that book, he is the deputy editor of Mashable.com, and he is the author of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. Please welcome to Schmoville, Chris Taylor.
Yeah. Thank you.
How are you, Chris? Thank you for joining us.
I've been dreaming of this day for weeks.
Can you tell us about that too? Like, first of all, had you ever, and I will not be offended, had you ever even heard of this show before that day?
I had, but in a very sort of abstract sense. Okay. And it got very, very concrete when I got, I think, 2 pages worth of tweets the same night that you guys mentioned this book.
See, I love that. I love torturing people just a little bit on social media, and it's not. It's all positive stuff, but it's like I like when somebody like a Chris Taylor is just going to pick up the phone and look at Twitter and be like, "Jesus Christ!"
Right. Well, did it help with the book?
It did tremendously, yes.
That's great.
There was definitely a sales spike.
Yes.
When
good job, Schmoeville.
I'm sure there'll be another one right now.
Yeah. Go hop on Amazon. Pick yourself up a copy. Now, look, I hate reading, but this thing was on the back of my bathroom for a good week, and then I took it on the road with me when I went to Tampa, and I made it through most of the book, and that's
big for him.
That's an accomplishment for me. I didn't color in it or anything. I actually read it, and it's such a fantastic, not just the source material. Because, look, I'm going to love anything that's based on Star Wars because I love Star Wars and the creation of it. But the way you wrote it, it's so clearly from a fan's perspective. That really got to me, and that hooked me early on as somewhat of a hesitant reader.
Yeah.
But I really also wanted to write it. That's great to hear. I also wanted to write it for the non-fan. I wanted it to be the book that you could introduce to your family members, to your sister, to your grandmother, anyone who actually doesn't quite understand the appeal of Star Wars. My wife, for example.
Yeah, my wife, too. I said that to my wife. Right? I said, I'm reading it in bed. I go, honey, you could read this. She's like, no, it's Star Wars. I go, you could read this and love this book. I'm telling you. Sorry, please.
I've actually heard of a number of, on Twitter, a number of people have told me that their spouses have complained that they've been reading this too late, that they have been...
I couldn't put it down.
laughing. They've been pointing stuff out from it. They've been keeping them awake. So I'd like to apologize to all the spouses.
Oh, don't you dare apologize.
I love the idea of Christian Harloff in bed with his wife, like the Brady Bunch, just reading. You're reading your book. She's reading her book. All right, I'll pull my lampshade. Good night,
She watches the weather for some reason. She's like 80 years old. She watches the weather at night.
She watches the weather.
She loves the weather. Sorry.
Well, if we can get her to read this, then I think I will have achieved my goal.
She likes weather. Hey, honey, there's 2 suns on Tatooine. Get involved.
There you go.
Yeah.
Imagine the weather.
I know. Well, I want to get into this thing. I really want to talk about how it all came to be. The first question, because Ken and I were talking about this right before. When did you decide that you wanted to write this book, and why?
So it all started the day that Lucasfilm was sold to Disney. And it actually started with an op-ed on Mashable. Because I don't know if you remember, the immediate reaction was everyone was freaking out.
Yeah.
Right? Disney's going to ruin Star Wars. But of course, if you look at what Disney's done with Marvel, what they've done with the Muppets, what they've done with Pixar, they pretty much just left it alone to do its own thing, and it sort of finds its own level and becomes the best version of what it could be. So I'm like, okay, well, if Disney is now in charge, or, a hands-off level of being in charge, this is going to be awesome. So I wrote that op-ed. It got picked up on, I think, StarWars.com, the Star Wars Facebook page. It did the rounds that day just immensely, and I knew it got picked up by StarWars.com. So all of a sudden, the comments on Mashable were getting really intricate, and it was all about Mara Jade had better be in the new movie.
Right,
and I was like, whoa, this just changed. Because normally, we have a very mainstream audience. We have millions of readers, but none of them are necessarily that into Star Wars. So suddenly we kind of proved that we had this whole Star Wars readership. And I realized, there hasn't been a 1-volume history of the entire Star Wars franchise. It just didn't exist. There have been many great making of movies that Lucasfilm has done. But, they're Lucasfilm. They're vetted. They are, and to their credit, they don't seem to be that vetted, but it's nice to get an outside look and a 1-volume history of the whole thing, and
it literally is everything. You cover the Christmas special in it for a bit, and really in depth. And I didn't know things about that Christmas special, as far as that Lucas took his name completely off the damn thing. I'm so sorry. I'm
Smart guy.
There's so much to talk about. Please keep.
But also the fandom as well. Nobody had really written the definitive book on how the fandom reacts to it, and the 501st Legion, which I'm sure you guys know, the Stormtrooper costume guys, the guys who spent 10 years in their garage building R2-D2s, who are now building the R2-D2 for Episode 7, or have already built it. So there's some tremendous stories to be told there. They hadn't been told. This was an obvious jumping off point to tell these stories, because it was the end of Star Wars as an independent franchise. It was the end of the George Lucas era, and it was time to tell that story. So I jumped on it. I think I got a book deal like a month later.
Wow, that's cool.
The rest is history.
It's really fascinating. As I said, I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I am so interested in the business side of things. So you go into all that, don't you, and how George Lucas got involved, and it mentions Francis Ford Coppola, which I'm excited.
Yes. I came up with the $42 billion figure as seemingly the most effective estimate of how much money Star Wars has made over the years, which no one's been able to pin down until now.
That's how much the first Death Star cost. Incidentally, same amount.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because they didn't do that whole filigree thing of not finishing it.
You cover that. But then you cover that in the book too, about the actual someone who goes through like the cost of the Death Star.
Yes.
Yeah, you go through all that.
Yeah. What was it?
See, I read the book.
You did. Yeah.
What was it? $13 quadrillion. But and then that becomes a petition to the White House to build a Death Star.
Right.
They end up referencing this one university blogger who came up with the number in the first place. I mean, Star Wars takes you places.
How much of this information did you know going into it? I mean, obviously you have some sort of history because you're a huge Star Wars fan, but all the stuff about George Lucas growing up in Modesto and him being in love with cars and maybe being a little bit of an outcast and then wanting his own camera and experimenting with that. How much of this did you know going in, and then how much did you learn? How thicker did the book get as you were writing it?
Too thick for my editors. There was definitely a movement to scale it back. I was like, no, can't take a word out
on
of
behalf of everybody, I'm glad you fought for it, because it's perfect the way it is.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I knew quite a lot going in. I have to own up to something, which is that I had not seen Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I'll tell you what happens.
No. I saw it as soon as I got the book deal.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I've got to finally watch this. But
there's a guy in a Darth Vader Halloween costume that screams no. That's what happens.
No. Love that no.com. That helped me through writing the book.
Yeah.
No.com.
The fans are crazy, so you'd have to do a lot of research to make sure you get everything right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And the pressure of getting this right.
Yeah.
Of getting it so that every fan will feel that I've represented this correctly. I mean, there's no other franchise where they will kill you faster.
You're so right, and that's why you have to feel pretty damn good because, like, look, Ken has his own Star Wars show. Riley's going to be on one pretty soon. I'm on. I have my own Star Wars show, and we're fanatics. We're hardcore, and when we're running around screaming and yelling like this is the best thing since sliced bread, you're definitely going to the hardcore fan. And like you said, you're going to the non-hardcore Star Wars fan, and you're getting this reaction. So not only as an author, that's got to make you feel good. As a Star Wars fan, you got to say, okay, I've done good.
Yeah. You know, if I can get across to non-Star Wars fans why this thing is so huge, why at the sort of casual level it takes in billions of people, then I sort of feel like I've done my job.
You mean I can understand it? Finally?
You can. I think so.
Well, I mean, the whole opening chapter is sort of about trying to find someone who hasn't been touched by the franchise at all, and I had to go to the Navajo Nation to find that.
It was great. It was a great hook too to get somebody invested into the book again, because if you can put yourself in that seat wherever you are, if you're like, I can't believe they haven't seen Star Wars yet, or you're more like, well, yeah, I can understand that, and then you realize the effect that it has on so many people. How much did you realize once you were writing this book? Did you realize that, man, I really bit off more than I could chew here? Did you ever have that moment where it's like, Jesus Christ, I took on an entire universe?
Every other day. I tell you, the process of writing this book was one day up and one day down. One day I was like, this is brilliant, it's all coming together, I have so many good ideas, there's more than I can possibly fit in a book. And then every other day it was like, this is crap.
Yeah.
Did you grow like a big Hemingway beard? Did you really become like a tortured writer during this?
Yeah, I didn't have a single whisker on my face before. This is
from the book.
It's all gone white. It's like, you know, it's like when a president comes in and his head just goes white.
Well, I wanted to dive into this stuff with Lucas though, because even in your book, there's not a lot of people that he allowed to really go on the inside and write about him that much too. So how did you get around, doing that and being able to? I mean, who'd you talk to and be able to get all the information? It was besides just the Google stuff, but as far as like really tracking down. I mean, I didn't know about the car accident stuff. He goes into George Lucas. I don't know if you guys knew it either. Was in a car accident that essentially changed the path of his life.
Right.
And because of that car accident, you allude to in the book, this is kind of why we got Star Wars.
Kind of, yeah. It's funny because Lucas changes his mind a lot about what his history consists of. Not just the history of the Star Wars movies and changing certain segments of those, but his own personal history. But the one constant that he always refers back to is this car crash. It changed everything. It made him knuckle down at school. He suddenly got interested in anthropology and photography, and that sort of led him on to filmmaking. He abandoned cars because he wanted to be a race car driver up until that point. Probably would have been. He was actually quite good. The car crash thing is sort of pretty well known because he talks about it a lot. But there are so many interviews with him over so many years that have not been really investigated or returned to. So there was a lot of that. I mean, I did try, obviously, to get him on the record. Many times I sent many letters. I became very good friends with his PR person.
Dear George, me again.
It's like Shawshank Redemption.
I had confirmation that the letter had made it to the desk. That is
pretty sweet.
That's big.
As far as we get.
Yeah.
But George was, and I say this in the book as well, he was burned so much by the 1983 biography called Skywalking. That he didn't. After that point, he was like, forget it.
He wanted the guy to change some stuff, right?
He wanted the guy to change practically everything in the book. He, Dale Pollock, the author of the book, says, he went into Lucas's studio and he had like a red paperclip in every page of the manuscript. Because he had this deal where he could change factual errors, and then they started disagreeing about what was factual. And there was some complaint that he'd taken stuff that was off the record, but Lucas had talked for 80 hours and had never once said off the record.
Do you think, from your perspective, because you did so much research and investigating to write this book, do you think George Lucas is an ultra-sensitive guy, or do you think he's just a human being? I mean, you always hear stories about how he felt burned by the fans because they didn't react well to the prequels. sales, and that's kind of why he was like, oh, you know what, I don't want to work anymore because they didn't like what I put out, and I totally understand that. It's like
he's a sensitive guy.
Yeah, but I mean, is he just a human being, or does he really take this stuff personally?
I think he does. You know, he's a nerd like the rest of us. You know, he was into comic books and he loves movies, and you know, and he built this universe, and he was an absolute perfectionist about how it was going to look on the screen at every step. That's why the movies are so brilliant, because everything has been thought through to the nth degree, and you know, a special effects shot has been tossed out at the last minute and a new one thrown in, which is what I mean. No other filmmaker, you know, kills himself to the point that Lucas did on these movies. So yeah, I think he feels a certain sense of possession about his vision. He doesn't like fame. He's never liked being famous. He's very shy, and you know, he's always said to fans who have complained about the movies, it's like, look, it's not your vision. This is my vision.
Right.
You know, go make your own movie.
Yeah, and you know, you mentioned in the book that another turning point in Lucas's life that really changed him a lot was his divorce. That really, right after Jedi, he shut down for a long time during all that. Now, you know, I know hindsight here is 2020, but let's say if Lucas would have stayed with his wife and they would have worked things out, do you think we would have gotten more Star Wars movies in between that 83 to 99 period?
It's possible. I mean, the other thing that changed him was the experience of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Because that was, I mean, he was slaving away on the Star Wars movie, even Empire Strikes Back, which, you know, he's only the fourth name on screen at the end of Empire, but he, you know, people don't realize he really wrote the first two drafts. You know, the Lee Brackett draft sadly was tossed aside, and you know, so he put his heart and soul and his pocketbook into those movies, and it was incredibly stressful, and he was, you know, days away from not being able to make payroll, and his money was being spent in England by Gary Kurtz and Irvin Kershner on that movie at a rate at which he was not happy. The fact that it went so way over budget. And then he goes and does Raiders, and Steven Spielberg is such a genius, and he brings in everything on time, and you know, Lucas is only the producer, and he just has to sit back and watch this whole thing, you know, which was based on his own story, just come to life effortlessly, and it made more money than Empire. So which would you rather do again?
Right.
Yeah. I'm really interested in also how Star Wars changed things in terms of merchandise and changed the film business overall. If it's hard, I think this would be hard to sum up, but what would you say Star Wars did for filmmaking?
Well, obviously the merchandise is a huge part of it. No movies had ever stuck around long enough before to be fully merchandised in the way that Star Wars did. They had tried. There was a lot of merchandising around TV shows. There was a lot of Star Trek merchandising actually in 1976. So, you know, people forget it wasn't, you know, the world wasn't as devoid of merchandising as some books have made out. It didn't completely change things to that degree, but you know, it was, in retrospect, it is so obvious that this is such a merchandise-friendly film that you're going to have so many action figures from it. But you know, it wasn't obvious back in the day. You just took a movie and its characters and turned it into action figures, and Star Wars changed that. It also wasn't, you know, the 3 3/4 inch action figure was not the standard. You know,
they were huge.
The G.I. Joe kind of size. So you know, Star Wars helped that largely because, you know, if you have a Han Solo that's this size, then the Millennium Falcon has to be this size in the studio.
That's
right?
so interesting.
So you know,
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I know. I want that. I want the entire Toys R Us to be taken up with one Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, really. Star Wars also changed the fact that kids, when you get your toys now, don't take them out of the box because you're ruining the value of it. Just play with them in the box.
Because it increases in value.
Yeah, it stays. Yeah, you'd be a millionaire if you had those Star Wars toys.
Because I know you mentioned the merchandising with that, how that changed a lot as well. But how much do you think THX 1138 was so important for Lucas as well in his thinking of doing stuff on his own, obviously, and how important was that to him?
THX made him realize what he didn't want to do. I mean, he loved that movie. It was, I think he said a decade later, it was his favorite, you know, and best experience on the set. Not that it was a particularly good experience on the set for him, but he hated being on set. But it was, you know, it's this depressing dystopian what he called a documentary fantasy.
Depressing movie.
And that's the one he worked a lot with Coppola too.
Yeah, so Coppola was involved in that with American Zoetrope. It was supposed to be the palate cleanser before the whole lineup of American Zoetrope films. But Lucas realized after that movie came out and got this kind of response that that's not what the public wants. We don't want to be told how depressing the world really is and have science fiction reflected through the lens of the present and just be. You
want to escape.
Depressed. You want to escape. I mean, he actually thought THX was a pretty optimistic movie because, spoiler alert, the guy escapes at the end. He gets out of his cage. But we did not see it that way. Right. And you definitely do not see it that way if you watch it today. My goodness, what a bummer that movie is. But so it turned him on to doing the exact opposite. And I think for a long time he was divided about which way he wanted to go. Did he want to do space fantasy or did he want to do THX style science fiction? And he eventually ended up with space fantasy. And he also, he had so many ideas for THX 2. If that had ever
space fantasy, not fantasy.
It would have
fantasy.
THX 1139. Would have been the sequel.
So that movie would have included a scene with a garbage masher, and that's where it came from. So there were literally things that were plucked out of the THX universe and into Star Wars.
Well, when he made the transition to his space fantasy from science fiction film, you talk about the car crash being an inciting action in his life, propelling him towards this ultimate destiny, which would be Star Wars. Was there something more concrete in his filmmaking life when he realized that Star Wars was no longer a dream and sketches on paper, but that this actually had a chance of seeing the light of day?
It was when he sold American Graffiti. And he sold that first to United Artists, to David Picker.
Yeah. And by the way, this is what I told you. Who was the guy that was breaking his balls the most over at when he sold American Graffiti? It was Universal,
the studio guy.
Well, yeah. So it started at United Artists, then it went to Universal, and that was Ned Tannen was the guy.
And that's who Biff Tannen was named after.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Biff Tannen was Zemeckis named him after Ned Tannen.
That's
so much sense.
Yeah.
So he had so much of a problem with that. But when he originally sold it, he was like, "Oh well, I'll try and sell another movie as well while we're having this meeting in Cannes." That he spent his whole life savings to get to Cannes because THX was showing there, and he's just pitching David Picker in his hotel room. He's like, so American Graffiti, it's it's a musical, there are cars, and Picker's like, great, what else you got? And that's when he's like, I got this space opera idea, and that's the first time that he'd sort of said it out loud, really. It had sort of been floating around.
He was at a hotel room like, what the hell did you just say, George?
Where do you, this is, I guess, going back to our previous question, where do you find this particular information? Like when you're diving into his meetings with UA, who are you calling for that stuff? Like where do you get that information?
Two sources. I spoke to David Picker, but it's also confirmed in the making of Star Wars, the Lucasfilm book.
He went back to 1955 and talked to Biff Tannen, who's a close friend of Ned Tannen.
Yeah, I gave him the sports book. I don't know if I could have done that.
That's the next book, is how Back to the Future did really well in the universe.
Conquered the time streams.
Yes.
Yeah, it was funny because American Graffiti, and I thought that was fascinating too, that it was just sitting around for a while, and it wasn't until they released Star Wars that they put it back in wide release to make more money to capitalize off of Star Wars, which I thought was fascinating.
Hey, remember that pilot from the Millennium Falcon? He drives a car in this. Go see it.
It did. It was huge before that as well. It made Lucas a millionaire.
Right.
Never forget that Star Wars was the indulgence of a millionaire who never had to work again.
Yeah, but they didn't. But
it's a great point.
Yeah, it's true. Reading the book, and it was such a fight for them to get it released, and then when it finally did well, and then the Biff was going back and making sure that he was re-releasing it to make more money off it, and it really he really dives into the studio system about how it was back then and how the tide was changed. And we've talked about this many times in this show, and how then everybody was running after Star Wars, a new Star Wars, and trying to get the Flash Gordons, if you will. You talked about that one as well too.
Oh my God!
Yeah, well, it's interesting now that Star Wars is coming back,
and we cover that. Yeah.
Why do you think it is now that we've got a new Star Wars episode?
Oh my goodness! That's what Disney bought, right? They didn't buy Indiana Jones. That was seen as revenue neutral, because the whole thing with Paramount. It was really just the Star Wars franchise that they were buying, and in that, they don't even have any money coming out of the sales of the Blu-ray for the original Star Wars, right? Because Fox owns that. So much of what they bought for $4.06 billion was future Star Wars, was the promise of future Star Wars. And because we're all salivating at the very idea of an Episode 7, I think it was right on the money.
Do you think Lucas, and again, I'm asking you to speculate a little bit here, but do you think that he always had a vision that at some point he was going to sell it, or do you think if the prequels were better received, that he would have walked off into the sunset and said, nope, that's my franchise, I made 6 great movies, I'm taking my ball and going home?
Well, the problem was his ball is a whole company with lots of people who he cared about, and he talked wistfully about the fact that he'd sort of become this Darth Vader figure, and he had to keep this machine going, and that machine was Lucasfilm. So he had to do something with it. Even if the prequels had been well received, he probably would have been able to sell it for, I don't know, $10 billion in that instance. But Disney was so obvious when you go back and look at the history of how Lucas and Disney had interacted. It goes back to Star Tours in 1987.
Yeah.
He was working with Eisner on that, and it actually goes back to day 2. At the opening of Disneyland, Lucas was flown down by his father, and was there. I mean, he missed Walt Disney on day one, but he was there, and he was standing at the very area of Tomorrowland where he would, in the future, build his Star Tours. So, the collaboration between the two of them had for years been going on. I mean, you can see all the Darth Mickeys and the Darth Goofies. I mean, every conceivable variation of a Disney character in a Star Wars costume has already been done. So,
Mafuge, you had something?
Yeah. Did you ask him about how he sold off basically his animation special effects when Howard the Duck bombed to Steve Jobs, which later became Pixar? Did you ask him?
Well, so that actually, the Pixar sale, I think, happened before. So Howard the Duck was 86.
Because he built Skywalker Ranch, he went into crazy debt, and then Howard the Duck was supposed to bring him out, and Howard the Duck bombed.
He was in crazy debt because of the divorce.
Okay.
I mean, that's why Pixar was a fire sale.
Never get married, kids. Sign a prenup.
I'm sure we all know.
Says the divorce guy.
I'm sure we all know what the deal was. I mean, Steve Jobs paid $5 million for it, and it was sold for $7.4 billion.
Yeah, right.
Amazing investment. And then he just promised to invest another $5 million. So that was all he had to put in, and that was just because Lucas was desperate. He had to pay Marsha off because he wanted to keep Skywalker Ranch. That was his his baby, and he wanted to keep that at any cost, and the cost was incredible because of that.
Now we have to go into the prequels here, because one of the things I found fascinating, and Riley and I talked about this too, and I wrote, Riley I know has a question about this as well, but like when the thing that everyone always wondered is just once Lucas got to that such he was essentially the emperor, that because you hit on it, and during the original trilogy, he's talking to Coppola, he's talking to De Palma about the crawl, he's talking all these people, the Spielbergs, and getting this input, and everyone kind of always assumed this. When it came to the prequels, he was surrounded by a lot of yes men, for what it seemed like. And then, Rick McCallum was there basically just to kind of say, yes, George, I'll help you out with whatever you want, George. But what I found fascinating was the first draft of Phantom Menace. And it was actually pretty good from what you had. Where'd you find out what the original draft was?
These scripts have leaked online. I mean, they've leaked online in the same places that had the original drafts of the original trilogy that have turned out to be confirmed by Lucasfilm. So I think we can be fairly safe in saying that these were pretty accurate. I mean, they'd never been actually 100% confirmed, but they are treated as accurate. And in the original version of The Phantom Menace, Jar Jar Binks is actually quite a wise Gungan who speaks in proper English sentences.
Not annoying.
Not annoying at all.
You wouldn't want Kylo Ren to cut his head off.
No, you actually wouldn't, because he talks about how far he's traveled and how many things he's seen, and sort of has these lovely speeches.
These are going to die?
Yeah, right.
Not even that. I mean, the fake Jamaican patois was not even in that. I mean, it's fascinating to think what might have been, and also the young Anakin in that original draft was much kind of scarier and
he was a teenager, wasn't he?
Well, no, Lucas had left himself the option of Anakin could be between 9 and 20 when he starts the movie, and he opted for 9. Whatever, bad choice, but it could have been better, because there was stuff like Anakin just sort of is this savant who can pilot a spaceship through the blockade to the other side in front of the planet of Naboo, which was going to be Utapau, but anyway.
Yeah,
really
and they brought Utapau. Actually, they brought it into Tarkin.
Yes.
Like now, because in the novel of Tarkin, written by James Luceno, that is now where Tarkin is from.
And it's also actually in Episode 3.
Correct.
It finally made it in Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, we're getting way too.
Nerd lightsaber battle.
I was like, are these words that you're speaking?
But yeah, Anakin he's not this sort of creepy little 9-year-old who chats up Natalie Portman by saying, "Are you an angel?"
Right.
He's not Kevin McAllister from Home Alone.
Yeah. And one of the biggest problems, and you address this in the book as well, too, that the prequels had, was that there was no clear protagonist.
Right.
And I think from the first draft, it was more Obi-Wan was the protagonist.
Yes, because Qui-Gon Jinn was not in from the beginning. I think he joins the action at some point when they go to the Imperial capital, and then they come back to Naboo, and he joins in there. But I guess, I don't know. I mean, that looked bad on paper because then Obi-Wan doesn't have anyone to talk to.
Well, do you think because it's funny because the original trilogy, he went through 4 drafts. 4 was that? I think it was
4 for the original Star Wars. Yeah, right. And then I think it was 4 was sort of pretty much the going rate.
So do you think he was just like after going? He's like, nah, I don't really think I want to write anymore, and that was it.
Well, from what we can tell about his writing habits, he actually would write a whole bunch of pencil on paper drafts before he got to what we would call the first draft.
Right.
So he's just writing it right. I mean, he called it, what did he call it, jazz, or conducting a symphony, or he was riffing. It was a silent movie. I mean, he's had many metaphors for what Episode 1
and that's what John Williams says as well. He writes it on pen and paper. And
and just does it over and over again. It's just rapid iteration, which might have worked if someone else had come in and done a final polish.
Why did that happen? Why didn't he? I know that he went back to Kasdan, and Kasdan was like, I know you want to make your own movie. Go ahead and do it. Why didn't he go after more help, do you think, and just surround himself with the yes-men?
I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're in that position, when you're George Lucas and the entire planet worships you, it's kind of hard not to get a bit of an ego. And, but at the same time, he did kind of tell us that throughout the process of making Episode 1, he was the only guy saying, this could suck, that, you can destroy these franchises. I did it with American Graffiti. They didn't make any money. But on the other hand, I mean, if you look at it from George Lucas's perspective, it worked. It was the story he wanted to tell, even though even he admitted the ending was way too complex with too much intercutting. And
literally Darth Maul.
Yeah. And it is, and then we cut to the Gungans. But it is in sheer dollar terms, it made more money than any other Star Wars movie.
It was a financial windfall.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, part of the reason why he made those movies when he did make those movies, as far as from the book, it will inform you a little bit more than I can, is that you could finally portray on screen the vision that he had in his head for these stories. So you always get told around the campfire that it was Jurassic Park, that he saw Jurassic Park and he saw what his buddy Steven did with all these dinosaurs, and he's like, damn it, I can go back to Star Wars now. Is that the way it actually played out, or were there more factors involved?
A little bit. I mean, there's definitely a circuitous route to Phantom Menace, and part of it's doing the CGI Jabba in the special edition, which then was not good enough and got replaced in the Blu-ray, the DVD, I think it was. But yeah, he realized that there was no limit on his imagination now, which is, to my mind, the worst possible thing.
It's horrifying.
That can happen to a creative person is not to have any constriction. So he immediately saw a pod race. That was the first thing that he went to. He was like, we can do this now. I can do this futuristic drag race thing. And then you've got to shoehorn that into the plot somehow.
He just wanted to make things look cool, and it was because it looks cool. The special effects were mind-blowing. They still hold up today.
So
you don't think so? I think so.
I just watched it.
You don't think it hold up?
Yeah, I just watched Phantom Menace. Thank you. I just watched Phantom Menace, and it was very bad.
The thing is that
Jar Jar.
Did you watch it with the sound down?
Oh yeah.
No, I know, and I love that part
That's what I was
in
gonna
your
say.
book about somebody that watched the movies Like he said, it's a symphony,
Yeah.
and you don't need to have the dialogue, and then it might actually come off as better. I'll buy that.
No, because Maud was my roommate. She's a huge Star Wars fan, and she was rewatching all the prequels. I was like, oh my god, that noise! It never ends. It's wall to wall sound.
Yeah.
So many special sound effects, like meow, pew, 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 and I was like, he needs to embrace silence.
Maud, it's 3 in the morning.
Silence is powerful.
Well, there's a lot going on.
Annoying.
Did you have something else in the prequels before?
No, I don't know if you touched on it in the book, but there was a rumor about Steven Spielberg directing a part of Revenge of the Sith. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah,
I've heard it's like an urban legend, like Mr. Ellis says about the dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there is something to that, and I think what it was that he did some previs stuff because Lucas was introducing him to previs software.
Okay.
And said, hey, this is so easy. Here, take this scene. But Revenge of the Sith was so futzed with anyway that I'm not sure that anything remained of Spielberg.
And you still have not seen
the opening.
No, actually saw it.
Yeah. Oh, you did. You did.
I did. I had to finally see it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so burned by episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I will say that for writing this book, I mean, it really, I came to terms with the prequels, and I have a whole chapter on how I stopped worrying and learned to love it.
Right.
The stages of prequel grief.
You had a very Doctor Strange love.
Yeah. Well, another thing that you touched on, which I'm a big fan of, is the Clone Wars series, and it's a great question here. And by the way, Schmoes, go ahead in the YouTube chat if you're in there and submit some questions right now, and I'll read a couple. But this is a great one because it goes off of the Yes Men. This is what Peter Herf says. Wondering what Chris thinks about the Lucas-Dave Filoni relationship, because it seems like Lucas relinquished some of the Yes Men from his crew when he was developing the Clone Wars. Do you feel that?
I think he very much saw his relationship with Filoni as he was the mentor, and Filoni was up and coming. That was clear from Last Avatar. He really wanted to immerse Filoni in sort of the spirit of Star Wars, and he would often tell him, look, you're being too serious. Star Wars is actually supposed to be funny. There's definitely an argument to be made that it could be classified as a comedy. Filoni grew, and Lucas made him watch all these World War II movies that influenced the original Star Wars, and you see homages to those movies popping up throughout the Clone Wars. And I think by the end, and certainly the first season of Rebels, which Filoni, of course, is also in charge of, you really see the results of this. You really see Filoni as sort of he's growing into this sort of latter-day animation version of Lucas.
Do you think that because Clone Wars really develops Anakin, the way that people complained that he wasn't developed in the prequels, do you think, because Lucas was, and from doing Far, Far Away, I had a couple of writers on from Clone Wars, and they said, and I was surprised, I didn't know how involved Lucas was with the Clone Wars. Do you think that was kind of Lucas saying, okay, maybe I did mess up with some of this development here. Let's develop them a lot more and explain, exactly what I wanted to. Maybe I kind of messed up in the prequels without actually saying it.
Yeah, he's, I've talked to people to whom he said that in private, and I, didn't talk to enough people to be able to put that in the book. But yeah, he does have a sense that he doesn't feel like he got the story across very well, and he let the fans down. According to at least one person who spoke to him about this. But, with Clone Wars, Filoni came to him with the proposition of, let's do something about an entirely new set of characters. And they laid them all out, and he had sketches of them all. Let's have a, big old Gungan called Lunker. I remember that guy. And Lucas was like, no, I like my characters. Let's use them. So I do think it was this attempt to do what the prequels tried to do, and just a little bit more in depth. And boy, is that really paying off now. I mean, I don't know if we can talk about the spoiler at the end of Star Wars Rebels, at the end of the first season, but
yeah, it sets up. I don't want to give exactly what it was yet, and if you've watched our review, you can see the spoiler there. But it's
who shows up?
Yeah, who shows up?
Okay,
I mean, they know who shows up because it's been all over the place. As far
sorry,
okay.
my throat's
we
been
know
bothering
that
me.
Vader shows up, but there's a character from the Clone Wars as well who was connected to him, and everyone is like, oh my goodness, this sets up something so fantastic for the second season.
Yeah, and it really does, and like you said, it seems like they have a grasp, but that also plays into the Disney angle, and it plays into, because what we were just saying before is, Ken and I were talking about this before, is Bob Iger. The way that I perceive, and you've been doing more research, so if I'm wrong here, please tell me, but from what I've gathered from your book and from hearing about what Bob Iger has done, he's not only this really brilliant businessman who knows what properties to get, he knows how to appease the fans.
Yes.
He knows how to go after Marvel but pay attention to what they're making. Don't just put in Will Smith on that role and put in Russell Crowe there. It's like they wanted to get all the characters, and you made it a point in your book to say when he made the announcement, all the characters, he made Leland Shee go through all the separate characters and go through which ones they had to announce to the fans, these are the ones we're going to celebrate. Is that kind of who Bob Iger is?
Yeah, so he mentioned the 17,000 character,
right.
Which of course Disney wiped over most of that when Lucasfilm decided to say the expanded universe didn't happen.
Right,
now. So,
right. So there's like a new canon now, right? Mm-hmm.
But I think what the genius of Bob Iger is he knows when to shut up, and that is most of the time. And I mean, look at how he's got us salivating for episode 7.
Yeah.
Because they did not say it. I was there at the D23 conference where they got
bears.
booed.
They showed Disney's bears.
Yeah. And they got booed for not saying anything about Star Wars. I mean,
we were pissed. We made a video. We were like, what the? Star Wars!
But now that seems like the right thing to do, right? He had us all waiting for the trailer, and then that trailer, now the most viewed trailer of all time.
And it was so quick that everyone went through it frame by frame.
For an hour.
Yeah.
Speculated.
I still see it in my sleep. It flashes before my eyes.
Even I got excited when I heard the music again, but I had no idea about any of the Easter eggs.
Oh my God! I watched that thing in an airport 30 times in a row, just on a loop. I just kept clicking. Yeah, just kept hitting it.
So Bob Iger is a guy who, and the way, and this is something. If you want to hear about a business or read about a businessman, the way that you portrayed their meeting, on how he brought up, hey, you think you want to? Would you ever want to sell? I don't want to give away all of it because people should read about it. But can you give a little bit away of the meeting between Iger and Lucas?
Well, he was obviously courting Lucas. It was a day when they were both going to play Jedi at the opening of, I think, the second Star Tours in Disneyland, and so he woos him at at the Brown Derby at Disneyland, which is this old timey restaurant. He knows that Lucas is into that sort of thing, and I mean the Bob Iger's style, and I know this from talking to Steve Jobs as well. I interviewed Steve Jobs quite a lot back when I worked at Time Magazine, and I asked him, look, why did you sell Pixar when you did? And it was all about he didn't want to work with Eisner. Actually, Jobs' word to me was, Eisner's a fucking idiot. And he was this sort of egotistical guy. And Iger could not have been more opposite. He just came in, he's very smooth, he knew how to talk to Steve Jobs. If you can talk to Steve Jobs and get him to sell his company, you can certainly get George Lucas to sell his company.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of wooing. I mean, Lucas, didn't come back to him for, I think, about a year after that. And in the interim, he was like, well, let's get this machine revved up again. Yeah. Let's get those scripts.
It's fascinating to hear about all of it and how it just all went down.
It's really fascinating.
The way that they prepped, and that's what he covers it, like how Lucasfilm was prepping for the potential sale and the meetings that he took.
Because for me, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I remember hearing the news and going, what?
For everybody. I mean, you heard about it, and you're like, geez, the finality, the totality of what just happened did not hit you that day. We made a video. We turned on the cameras about 30 minutes after we heard the news and just speculated. We were pretty excited about it because, again, you hear Disney and you think mouse ears, and then you're like, wait, they own ABC, they own ESPN. I watch
Marvel,
ESPN all day.
Look what they did with the Marvel franchise.
Look what they're doing with that. Pixar, all that stuff.
Yeah, because it seems like they stand, like, obviously it's Disney, they're going to have a say, but it seems like they stand out of the way for the most part.
It doesn't feel like a Disney film.
It doesn't, and that's why I get tweets all the time like, do you think Disney's going to allow them? The question that you should be asking is, do you think Lucasfilm will do? Because Lucasfilm is still in charge.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. And it's weird because people don't say that about Pixar, and they don't say that about Marvel.
Right.
It's taken as read, but somehow Star Wars is governed by Disney now? No, the only thing that Disney has really changed, so far as I could dig up, was the release date.
Yeah.
They wanted that they wanted it as soon as possible. They will take all of the Star Wars they can get as soon as when they can get it. I mean, they would love to run Star Wars Detours. Yeah. If anyone remembers that, that's still on the shelf. Thanks to Kathleen Kennedy.
Green, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Kathleen Kennedy put that on the shelf. No, not touching that. Episode 7 is going to be first, and Rebels before that. But yeah, no, they really wanted the release date for Episode 7 to be summer of 2015.
Right, they moved it. And then, what do you say about this rumor that was going around that JJ? Did you hear about this? That JJ wanted to switch it back to summer,
because he was concerned about the leak. He was concerned about the leaks.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Total bullshit.
Okay. Makuga, did you have something else?
I kind of just want to know what you thought of the Family Guy trilogy.
Oh, loved it. Yeah, so I have a whole chapter on the comedy of Star Wars and why Star Wars seems to lend itself so well to parody. It's almost like the Teflon franchise.
I love Spaceballs.
Merchandising.
But you cannot. I mean, Mel Brooks was about the closest who ever got to sort of tweaking Star Wars where it lives. But everyone else. I mean, the Family Guy. They sort of start out with a few jokes here and there at the expense of the franchise. Yeah. But eventually it just turns into this loving recreation of it with the usual Family Guy jokes.
And
shut up, Meg.
It's a testament to something that you love so much that you can make fun of it a little bit, and it doesn't diminish the value of the original property.
I saw Spaceballs first, and then when I saw Star Wars, I was like, oh, I get it now.
That's where it comes from. Well, the pit boss here, who is responsible for all this, because he's the one that gave me the book and said, dude, you have to read this.
Alliance.
Now, you got a couple of questions here for Chris? I know that Chris is going to be on Jedi Alliance pretty soon,
Chris is going to be on Jedi Alliance Monday, 2 p.m. PST. Hope that still works for you. Mark Riley is going to be joining me along with a comedian and author named Joseph Scrimshaw, who we had on the prequels on Jedi Alliance to defend the prequels for an hour and a half. It was our most popular episode. There's so much to ask you. There's one thing I want to ask for Alicia. Something comes out of the book, but my first thing is Gary Kurtz. No one's really heard from this guy. All of a sudden, he's in your book all through it, telling some stories. He disappears after Empire. How'd you track him down? How'd you get him?
He does. He was probably the hardest guy to get hold of. I'd say went right down to the wire with him. I was inserting his interview at the last minute in the book. But yeah, he does seem to come out of the woodwork every 10 years or so and do this interview. I actually found him much more chill, much more relaxed. People have said about his previous interviews that he's trying to take too much credit. I found the exact opposite. He was a perfect gentleman. He was very, very sort of careful not to take anything that could be construed as too much credit.
Right. One thing here, and I've been telling Alicia since I started this book too, as a film freak that you are, there's so much to love. How close do you really think Lucas came to directing Apocalypse Now?
That's so interesting.
As was intended.
He would have done. He absolutely would have done. That was the idea. He wanted to. And finally Coppola gets sick of doing studio work after Godfather 2.
Yep.
He's like, I'm tired of doing, darkly lit rooms with, just one face coming out of the shot. And he's like, let's go to the jungle. Let's go do this, George.
And then it was really hard.
And he forced him to choose between Apocalypse Now and Star Wars.
Wow.
I mean, talk about a Sophie's choice.
Now, that is really interesting.
Well,
could you imagine the course of history change forever?
No.
It would have been substantially different. It would have been much more along the now secret theme of Star Wars, which is the overcoming of technology by a primitive group of people. That was very much his idea, and it would have been more comedic.
And I wonder if it would have broken him, the shoot. Like Coppola, I mean, he had so many problems on that shoot.
If Lucas had been in charge, I don't think that it
probably
would have...
Brando wouldn't have been involved.
Maybe he couldn't have got Brando, but certainly it would not have dragged on for how many years? Did that shoot?
My God.
A long time. Yeah, it's true. And then the Redux too. I mean, we got you for a couple more minutes. The book is How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. Make sure you pick it up anywhere you buy books, especially Amazon. That's the easiest place to go, probably. The one overarching question I've just been dying to ask you is, you see how Star Wars was created and how it started from this little tiny independent thing into what it is now. Could we ever see something like that again, or is the film business so concerned about making blockbusters and known properties, and then independent films just these little art house things that maybe they win an Oscar and then you never hear from them again? Could something like Star Wars ever happen again?
I think it almost happened with Guardians of the Galaxy, to be honest, because here was it was under the auspices of
It was
Marvel.
still a comic book, though.
But it was unknown characters.
Yeah.
And it was a space fantasy. It was very much in that mode of, we're just going to relax and have fun with this. We're not going to care if it sort of looks silly and Buck Rogers-esque. That's the appeal.
But like Mark said, that it did have the Marvel machine behind it, though. Do you think you'll ever be able to get a guy like just?
I have a space fantasy idea, Chris.
Just whatever it is, just fantasy in general.
I think you can do it. Right. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
way too lazy.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much again, guys, that you should be if you're not a Star Wars fan, you want to know about how to, like I said before, with creativity and the film business, this is a book for you. If you want to know about Star Wars and the inner workings, there's a lot of things about Jedi I didn't know, especially the director's relationship with Lucas. That stuff's fascinating. And two things I didn't know about, and that's what I want to talk to you about. was apparently Natalie Portman was an asshole on set.
No, not my Nat.
And
I
had never heard that before. Maybe
she made Keira Knightley cry.
How did she make her cry? Just because she wouldn't look at her in the eyes?
Yeah, it was very much a sort of "don't talk to me" kind of thing. Keira Knightley
was 14 at the time too, right?
Yeah, she was not the Keira Knightley.
Right.
So when she was in Bend It Like Beckham, she was just imagining Natalie Portman's face in that soccer ball every time she kicks it.
I think so.
I can see that.
But the reason I asked though, I know it's a great story, but the reason I asked that question though is because that ultimately led to her role becoming smaller, correct?
That is the story. That is the scuttlebutt from within Lucasfilm, that they reduced her role in Revenge of the Sith to where she's got nothing to do but be barefoot and pregnant.
Wow.
Film.
So what happens? You're not a nice chick, you die of a broken heart.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Or is it dying of a broken heart? I mean, we can get into the fan theory.
Yeah, well, the fan theory. Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, because like I said, Chris is going to be on Jedi Alliance. I'd like to get you, when you come back in time, I'd like to get you on Jedi Council for AMC, because there's a lot more we can dive into with the Star Wars universe. So this is obviously the guy you want to talk to about that. But I'm going to ask one more question from the fans here. I'm definitely going to butcher your name here, but I'm going to try it anyway. Makambe Ningola asks, what are your thoughts on the younger generation of Star Wars fans who grew up with the prequels?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, we now have 4 generations of Star Wars fans, I think, who each had a different starting point.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And the fourth, third is Clone Wars, fourth is Rebels. So everyone has a different entry point into this universe, and it's sort of, it's just like, everyone has a first Beatles album that they heard.
Right.
And you're going to get a very different impression of what that group is from that album.
Right.
Some people think Ringo's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to get hooked in, and you're going to get hooked in with Episode 7. You get hooked in. Look, the comics now, and there's a question for you. As far as how the new canon is, because Disney and Lucasfilm wants to reset that. Do you think, I love it, do you think it's a little too ambitious that it's the only franchise that everything's connected with the comics, the video games, the books, like all that stuff is actual canon. No, Marvel doesn't do that. Nobody does that. Do you think that it's dangerous? And do you think that, because you've done your research on Leland Chi and Hidalgo, can those guys keep up on this and make this thing work?
I think if anyone can, they can. I mean, it was a very brave move to take the entire expanded universe and just say, oh no, that didn't actually happen, it's just legends. And in certain quarters, the fan outcry from that has been intense.
Yeah.
And there have been boycotts and all sorts of nastiness involved. And, but I think, I like what I see. I like where Rebels is going. I like the fact that they've definitely kicked it up a notch at the end of the first season and getting into the second one. I've not yet read Heir of the Jedi. I've heard some sort of negative things about that.
Oh, about Heir of the Jedi? Yeah, that just came out 2 days ago.
Yeah, saw it at Barnes & Noble. Big display right up front. Luke Skywalker.
The 3 novels are New Dawn, Tarkin, and then Heir of the Jedi.
And no one knows anything about Tarkin except that it reveals the first name of the Emperor.
Yeah, Sheev.
It's John. I thought it was John Palpatine.
Yeah, no,
Sheev.
We can do that.
Sheev?
Yeah.
That's why he's pissed off. You got a chick's name.
My name's Sheev.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, Sheev.
Yeah.
Sheev, give me your lunch money, Sheev.
Yeah. There was.
It's Palpatine. Call me Emperor. Damn it.
There was one last question. I can't find the user's name, so I apologize. But
because
it's
the comments are so
the comments
intense.
they're intense right now.
It.
So the question was, what was the most surprising thing that you found out while writing this book?
Wow, the most surprising thing. I mean, there are so many.
There's a podcast called Schmoes No that you can vote for at podcastawards.com.
There you go. See, there was just one that you were just like, when you were doing the research, you're like, holy shit.
I think as a Star Wars fan, too, because there's a lot of things in this book for Star Wars fans that'll blow your mind. So what blew your mind?
I think, the thing that still blows my mind, even, I've read the book, 50 times now, because you have to in the process of editing it. The thing that I still can't wrap my head around is that this all started with one guy just scribbling out the Journal of the Wills on a piece of paper and telling this really bad story. And then just abandoning it after a page and a half. That's how this all started.
It's crazy.
It went from that to $42 billion.
It's like how? You could never recreate that.
And you want to read more about that, you go and pick up How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. Chris Taylor had just talked. If that didn't get you interested, then nothing will, because that was amazing. As a Star Wars fan, I'm going to read it again.
I'm going to read it.
Yes, Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Follow him at Future Boy.
Yes.
And we'll make sure the fans don't tweet you too much unless you don't come on again.
You know, if there are any more questions, I know there's a long list of them, just tweet them at me at Future Boy.
Nice.
That's awesome.
And make sure you keep an eye out for Chris as well as us. We'll all be at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim, April 16th through the 19th. He'll be hanging out. He'll be signing autographs for me primarily, so get in line behind me. And I mean, it's always great hanging out, just talking Star Wars. And then when you pull off something as great as this book, it really I admire something like that. Thank you so much for being able to stop by.
Thank you, guys. This has been a great experience.
Hey, the Force will be with you.
Just don't write a book on us just yet. All right, guys. So after the break, we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit. We're going to tell you we have a little bit of an announcement we're going to make. We got some more stuff about Alicia and her shirts. I want to talk about the design. Well,
this is the music we're leaving with?
I know. This is what you don't think Star Wars would be appropriate? Come on, JT, get your shit together.
What kind of Gamorrean guards working back there?
Unbelievable. We'll be right back. Follow Schmoes Know Movies. Tweet in some shit.
DC Universe! We are DC Movie News. I'm Adam Gertler.
I'm Roxy Stryer.
I'm Johnny LaQuasto. We are your weekly source for all news and rumors related to Warner Brothers' upcoming slate of DC movies. There's a lot of them coming.
Yes, and we're playing with the toys on the table right now, paying attention to Adam, of course.
That's an Adam West bobblehead. What other show can offer you that? This is true. There's a lot of movies coming from DC and Warner Brothers over the next few years. We have to wait till 2016 till they get here, but we're going to talk about them week after week. Rumors upon rumors upon rumors.
And make sure you find us on iTunes and YouTube at Popcorn Talk.
And we also embrace awkward silence.
You found the Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network, the celebration of the greatest saga ever told.
Where can you find us? Glad you asked. You can subscribe to us on the YouTube page, just search Popcorn Talk, and we're also on iTunes, just search Jedi Alliance.
And if you're on iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review. Follow us on Twitter at Jedi Alliance SK and the Popcorn Talk. Don't forget we also have Instagram.
And Facebook, so give us a like and a follow, and like some more, and then press like.
Please continue to listen to the Jedi Alliance because many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Poor Bothans.
Hello, we're the Marvel Movie News team. My name is Matt Key.
I'm Meredith Placco.
And I'm Matt Cook. You can join us here every Thursday night where we discuss and dissect all the Marvel movie news from the week. The name pretty much says it all.
We also talk television, everything from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Sony, Fox. If it's going on in the comic world and the movie world in Marvel, we have it here.
So tune in and nerd out. It'll be fun. It'll be a great time. You can catch us on youtube.com/Popcorn Talk Network or find us on iTunes and subscribe to the podcast.
By the way, they need something else to do in the Godzilla trailer because you can't show Godzilla because the fun of going to see Godzilla is to reveal on the big screen. So I would rather have them tease me with anything, even if it's like, oh, we're going to capitalize on Bryan Cranston's Breaking Bad success.
Man, I just want to see how they kill Cranston now.
Yeah,
It's so hot for me.
I know, right? Man.
But what I will say,
You're going to be let down with how he dies.
The other thing that I don't agree with that autoerotic asphyxiation. You liked Aaron Taylor Johnson in the movie.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought his character was consistent throughout the whole movie. I saw it going on in his eyes. I don't agree with you guys. It was something was turning.
Totally right. I'll fist pump you like you fist pump me.
Yeah. I'm with Ellis.
That I had forgotten that Godzilla had atomic breath at all. Then you start to see the blue stuff light up and you see him breathe fire for the first time. You're like, that's the greatest thing I've ever seen in a movie theater. And then for them to top that and to see him walking up and you know it's going to be an uppercut or something's going to happen and he grabs the mouth and he just goes right into it and he breathes the fire and it explodes. It was just one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of in a movie theater.
He likes that less is more mentality and not showing everything. Okay. That's fine. That's awesome. But what the same point you just made was the fact that if we're not connected to the story and the characters, the build-up sucks because then we have to sit through this thing. We're just...
You were attached to the story.
They have
Hold on,
arcade games in the
wait.
lobby. You can go play Crazy
Here's
Taxi.
The other thing
Insults.
that kind of
So
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but you're just doing it because we didn't like the story. It's like, oh, you're ADD. No, we didn't. We didn't respond.
I
to the
said that
story.
you can literally leave the theater and go play a video game and come back for the good
if
part.
I saw it again,
I wasn't
I would.
insulting you.
Yeah, I like him. I like
the
him.
character.
The whole
so you
story.
didn't. You weren't. So you were not attached to the story then of
No.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. You didn't like him. That's what I'm saying.
You keep putting words in my mouth, dude. I
That's what I'm
love the
saying.
story.
All right, fine, fuck it. So what I'm saying is, if you're
Whoa.
attached to the character,
Mom and
if you're
Dad are fighting and I don't
if you
payoff was so good, and that's why I schmoed it as well as I schmoed X-Men
Right,
Days
but
of
the-
Future
but
Past. Is that the X-Men Days of Future Past? The storyline.
No.
Wait, hold on, wait, just wait.
Holy
wait.
smokes.
That's another story. It's another conversation. It's another
Yeah,
conversation.
these holy smokes, bad language. I want you to get grounded on this show. There's that whimsical score we all grew up loving. John Williams conducting Hook, and he also conducted another film called Star Wars. And once again, thank you so much to Chris Taylor for joining us for the hour.
That's awesome.
How Star Wars Conquered the Universe is the book. Make sure you guys pick that up wherever you get your books. Very quick, some bookkeeping to take care of.
Yeah.
Incidentally enough, I'm going to be leaving you for a couple weeks.
no.
So I'm going to be. You can. Thank you. You can act upset. I'm going to be in Chicago. I'm going to be in Rosemont, Illinois next week, and then the week after that, I'll be in Columbus, Ohio. You can get tour dates for my stand-up at markellislive.com. Zanies in Rosemont, Chicago, and Schmoville. Let's represent next week.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, we have an announcement to make to you guys because there's been a lot of questions as far as what's the deal with you guys and Popcorn Talk. What's going on with the shows? What's happening with all the shows? And you guys haven't said anything, so we figured we need to let you guys kind of know what's going on. And we had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Mark and I have been really busy. Like I said, we're on AMC Movie Talk, and we do our stuff on movies.com.
You're reading, I'm telling yucks.
Right. So what we had decided to do is we're just going to focus on the main show. Popcorn Talk still produces the main show from the studios and everything too. We are produced by the Popcorn Talk Network. Our show. Now, the shows that Mark and I helped, that we produced and helped create and put on the Popcorn Talk
Your
Network.
Profiles is with Malone and Mance. Your Jedi Alliance with Kenny.
Yeah, and Guilty
Movie Pleasures.
and Meet the Movie Press.
Meet the Movie Press.
All those shows,
Box
they're
Office
still going
Breakdown.
on, and Popcorn Talk will produce all those shows with the crew. Mark and I we're just focusing on our show. We're not producing stuff, and we're not, as far as new shows going on, that's all going to be done by Popcorn Talk. So that's, all the shows that already exist, hosts are there, they're staying there. But like I said before, Mark and I are focusing primarily on Schmoes. So that's it. So just want to let everybody know that's what's going on.
But I'm still drinking out of the mug.
You're still drinking out of the mug, of course. Because,
I got 2 mugs.
as we should. We're
here.
We're
In the
part
house.
of the Schmoes No Movie Show is part of the Popcorn Talk Network, and then they produce us. This show has done tremendous things since we've been with the Popcorn Talk Network.
I love being in the spaceship, and one of the things that we actually talked about before we came to Phase 5, I don't know if we must have started this in Phase 2, was the little thing called Schmovillion of the Week.
Yeah. And JT, you want to go ahead and
awesome.
It's a great segue. You want to go ahead and play your little clip that you love so much?
Chappy, Pat. He-Man, He-Man's cameo in Chappie was the best part about Chappie.
Yes. So we have so basically what happens what we're doing for a long time, like Mark said, someone who's just getting involved in Schmoville, and if you don't know, and if you're watching, not yet, you blew the plug. You blew the plug. So if you
you weren't going to do it.
I am going to do it right now. If you guys talk about the fans themselves started your own Facebook group, Schmoville. With an exclamation point. You asked to join there. If you're not there, you should really just join, and you guys talk about everything going on in the Schmo universe. You talk about movies. It's a lot of fun. And there was a great post by Spencer Walsh. He talked about, just in general, about being a movie fan and the way that the community in general has.
Really lovely.
It was a really nice
And I feel the same.
No, it was
It's like
great.
to find people like Spencer you can talk movies with. It feels really special.
It was fantastic.
That's a strong name too, Spencer Walsh.
Yeah.
That's a high school quarterback hooking up with a cheerleader kind of name.
Yeah, so if you want to read that post, like I said, go and join the Schmoes group, and and you and go and do that. And congratulations to Spencer. Spencer, we're gonna hook you up. We're gonna give you a free Ripped Apparel T-shirt.
Yeah.
So thanks, Spencer. There's your Schmobilian of the week. Now we also talk about some T-shirts. When we talked about it when we had our special design, it was our Schmoes No design in the Star Wars font, and it was a limited release.
Yeah.
We told Schmoville to go out and get the shirt, take some pictures of themselves.
No restrictions. Be as pantsless as you want. Just make sure you got the shirt on and you're doing something interesting.
And if you're doing something creative, and you were going to win Mark Assholes. What
was that, Christian?
Get to the Castle. Get to the Castle. You can autograph that. There's going to be a movie poster in it for you, a Blu-ray. I think it might be Interstellar. I'm not sure. It might be something else. And then we're going to interview you on the show. We're going to have you call. You can Skype in. And what we did, Copster had got all the pictures of some of, and we're going to run some of the pictures in a little bit. We're as a crew going to look and judge, and we're going to pick two of them and let Schmoville decide between the final two.
Okay.
So all right. So JT, give me the thumbs up when the fans can actually see the pictures of the people. Okay. So there's our first one.
It's like Animal House when they're looking at who the pledges are going to be accepted.
Let's go to the next one.
Good framing.
All right, you got to move quick here. Love that one. Love that one. That's Alan. That's Tampa Alan. That's a great one.
Alan Roach. He kicks ass.
Alan Roach. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, I'm liking that one. Okay, that was one of the original ones.
I like that one. That's very stylish G White.
Yeah, I like that one. Okay. The wrestling ring. You got one in the wrestling ring. A little far away.
You won Christian's heart.
I like it. He fought in a match with the shirt on, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that one. Got a little kid. You got a little kid there. That's good. All right. Let's go. Next. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. I like that one. All right. I like that one. That's a good one too.
Nice.
Looks like Copster. You can't submit your own pictures.
That's cool.
Look at Yoda way off in the end.
All right. I like that one.
Very
I like
cool.
that one. We get some opinions from Schmoes.
That's pretty
good one too. I want some opinions from Schmoes. Which ones you guys like too? Okay. All right. Next. Okay,
there you go.
All right,
I like the lightsaber ones.
Yeah, a lot of lightsabers. Smart. Finstock, he's back. Finstock's back.
That's cool.
That's a good one. That's a good Finstock one. Okay.
Oh, I like that one. Ghost Schmo.
Ghost Schmo.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
The guitars help. Yes.
Is that Cody?
Elf.
Is that Cody and Elf?
That is cool.
That's great.
Give that guy both prizes.
Timothy Busfield?
This guy. That's great.
That's the other key to my heart.
Okay.
Nice.
In front of the Marvel. All right.
I'm liking that.
Yeah.
Big Disney universe.
That's great. That's a good one. That's a good one. That's Cody.
That's Spider-Man waiting to hear his fate.
All right,
That's
keep going.
Cool. How do you do that?
In little indie action.
There you go.
All right,
I like that one.
Wow, some
Nice
really
hat.
good. You guys are really went all out here. Okay, keep going.
The hat is cool.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Leanne. Look at Leanne. Nice. Leanne's got a good one. That's a good one.
Leanne looking a little.
That's a good one. She photoshopped.
She's ready to kick some ass.
All right. That's a good. Wow. Apes. That's great.
Schmoes on horses.
Schmoes on apes.
Wow, this is good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, little Max Ants.
Yeah,
I'm liking
Max
big glasses. I like that. All right.
That's cool.
Let's see what
yeah.
Hey,
hello,
I like,
gorgeous.
I like the ladies.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see what
Ladies
people are thinking so
Cougar
far.
just threw me a look.
Whoa, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Finstock playing rock.
I don't know how you're going to choose between all
these. These are tough. I might have to
Cool
wait until
jacket.
tomorrow to get.
Yeah.
Let the people who are watching
This is
online
so
decide.
good.
All right. Is that it? That's it. Okay.
Wow. Well, round of applause to Schmo. That was.
Wow.
That was so much better than watching your grandparents' trip to the Grand
All
Canyon.
right, so here's what we're going to do for the live audience right now. So for the one that you guys liked the best, hashtag Schmoes No, you know what? Hashtag Schmoes Contest. Hashtag Schmoes Contest.
We can do that.
And tell us your favorite one. And then for the audience that's watching on Friday or Saturday, you tell us in the comment section which one is your favorite. And then we will decide. We'll
we'll pit
decide
those two against each other.
And on Thursday. And we'll announce the final winner next Thursday. That's what we'll do.
I'll call in.
Great. I love that. Okay. And then
liking that.
Did we see yet, Riley? Did you happen to check on Twitter? And if you haven't, do you mind to see which was
So we wanted you guys at the beginning of the show, we wanted you guys to tweet in which game we're going to play. If we're playing the tagline game, the tagline one was favorited, and then the game was retweeted. So which one are we doing, Riley?
We got a lot of game I do know that, but let me look.
No, I just saw it.
Yeah,
Tagline won. Tagline got 76 favorites.
Oh, good.
And 31 retweets for the game. So it looks like we're going to play Tagline tonight.
The returning champion, Mark Ellis, has just entered the building, ladies and
Hey, I
gentlemen.
got pretty close.
Bring it.
Close, okay.
Am I in on this? Because I
play
feel like,
Tagline.
I feel like I could be good at this.
We'll play
It's adorable when you try games.
We'll play in like 5
Really?
minutes.
Ultimate Schmoedown?
Yeah. What I want to do is let's talk a little bit about 71 because there's a lot of times you guys they don't release these, and this was the conversation that Alicia and I had last week, and the one point that I agree with this too is I think a lot of the problems with the smaller films sometimes is that they only find their mass audience, whether it be on cable or
Video on
Netflix,
demand.
and you don't get the big wide releases of them for sure.
Mhm.
And 71 is a movie I wish more people would hear about because it's the best movie out in the theaters by a long shot right now.
Definitely, but I know it's in limited release. It's directed by Jan Damage, and it's basically a war film that's set during the Troubles, during 71, as the title suggests. Stars Jack O'Connell, and I've been singing this guy's praises ever since I saw him in Startup. He is incredible. Unbroken wasn't the best film, but not his fault.
He gets a crap beat out of him in that.
You really see his talent here because it all rests on him, and this is one of these films that I love the most, where it's a one night pretty much movie, and it's pretty self-contained, not too many locations, not too many casts. It's just a British soldier in the mean streets of Belfast trying to survive the night, and it does have you on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely.
It is so tense.
You feel like you're with this dude when you're watching this film, and it did such a great job of painting it. It was almost like I was playing a video game where I'm running around these streets. They're dimly lit. You don't know what's lurking around the next corner. Is it somebody who's going to shoot you? Is it a little kid? Is it a little kid who's going to try to shoot you? You don't know what's happening. Is this it? And watching him go through this night and get more and more. He's injured. He's bleeding out. He needs medical attention. He needs to get back to his boys. There's so many things going on through that guy's head, and it's not just Jack O'Connell though, because there's a lot of great performances in here. The acting across the board is fantastic. My only problem with this movie is that some of those Irish dudes, I need some subtitles, man.
Really?
What the hell are they saying? Yeah,
some of them, yeah, for sure. But what I thought was it had a perfect mixture of it had a realism for sure, and it felt like a gangster movie,
and
but
it felt like a big screen experience.
It
too.
absolutely did, and you just and that's a testament also to Jack O'Connell's performance, because that was a big screen performance.
It was.
He was really riveting throughout the whole thing, and in a smaller movie to where he is just run through the ringer all the way through, I felt that was more torturing and than Unbroken was.
I agree, and you don't actually know too much about the character's backstory. Not much is explained,
and you don't really need
to.
No.
And you understand the character throughout his actions,
right?
And that's really fascinating to me. I just wish it would be out in more places. Hopefully, it'll open a little bit wider, because often it starts small and then it gets wider and wider. I know it's been out already in the UK and in Ireland also.
Yeah, well, it's playing in I think 5 theaters in Southern California right now, and then hopefully it will expand, like you said, next week to more theaters. But if you can check it out, if you can't check it out in theaters, it's worth checking out at some point.
Sure.
Absolutely,
fantastic movie.
And you can stay away. I mean, look, I know a lot of people want to see Chappie, so go see it. Share your opinions on it. Go back to our review and tell us if you agree with us, if you don't agree with us. Love to start the discussion just like we did. And as the same thing goes for because Unfinished Business. When does our review of that come out?
Unfinished Business will be up late tonight, early tomorrow morning, probably. Yeah.
So check that out. And the other thing is
I have some unfinished business on that review.
Well done. Well done.
This is why you're the comedian.
All right, people. Let's talk about Cody and Copster, what they've been doing. If you didn't know, a few weeks ago, Cody and Copster. We don't need to see Copster; it's fine. A few weeks. I was just kidding.
The little guy.
For a few weeks ago, we let you guys know that Schmo Plus is no longer. We're not really putting videos up anymore. We're taking all the behind the scenes stuff.
It's been conquered.
Yeah, and now on the if you go to youtube.com/schmoesnopodcast, all the behind the scenes stuff. Cody runs. Will tape a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and Copster edits a lot of the stuff there, and they put the B Team movie stuff there. There's a lot of stuff, and your stand-up is up there as well too. So
my stand-up's good. The B Team movies are fantastic.
Fun.
Definitely check those out.
There's gonna be a lot of great stuff there. So if you haven't subscribed to youtube.com/schmoesnopodcast, do that. Now let's stop fucking around and let's get into the tagline game.
Tagline game.
Now we got Makuga's got to be in on this. Oh no, Makuga's played the game. We can have. You know what? How do you want to do this? How many people do you want to have?
I think we have these 5.
You want to have these 5?
Let's play some ball. Now the way this game works is Colonel Upham is going to read the tagline, something from a movie poster. For instance, Die Hard 2 was what? Die Harder, right? That's what it said. Die Harder. Oh, that's Die Hard 2. So your name is your buzzer, just like the game. When you know the tagline of the movie, then bring in, and we'll play 2.
We played 3 out of 5. We played 3 out of 5.
Yeah. What?
We played. I guess you the first to get 3.
Yeah. First 1 to 3. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
First 1 to 3.
First one to win to 3. Same thing. Name is your buzzer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we get some? Can we get a little bit of background music?
Come on, JT. You got
anything?
Come on.
Play hook.
Just play the Upham. Just play the Upham theme.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's just an intro. All right, give it.
All right, here we go.
All right, there you go.
First one. When he said I do, he never said what he did.
Mark. Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Incorrect.
When he said I do.
He said I do.
Ooh.
Oh man.
This is tricky.
Makuga? So I married an ex-murderer?
Nope.
Good guess.
But that would have been she.
Shit, you're right.
Good soundtrack.
Oh man, it's got to be. I don't know. Christian, analyze this.
Nope.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. What is it?
I might have to call that.
It was True Lies.
Oh, I had that in my head.
Mary Tasker.
Yeah.
All right.
Myself.
Fucking idiots.
I can't.
Alright,
good.
Terrible at it.
Next one.
All right.
Throw the ball, catch the girl, keep it simple.
Christian. Sandla.
No.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Can you say it again real quick?
Do it again.
Throw the ball, catch the girl,
Yeah.
keep it simple.
Oh, I got it, Makuga. Summer Catch.
No.
Wow. Good guess.
God, I'm so bad at
Riley.
Yep.
Fever pitch.
Nope.
Ooh.
That's a good guess.
Oh, Makuga.
Don't look.
I can't.
I'm out.
Yeah.
Oh, you're out.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Mark, and I'm gonna say Bull Durham.
No.
Leash.
Throw the ball, catch the girl. My mind goes blank.
We're all going baseball.
Yeah.
What do you got?
It is The Replacements.
Damn.
All right.
Lady Viper got it.
Whoever wins, we lose.
Yeah. Wait.
Riley.
Wait.
Alicia, tell him what I've been doing. Tell him what I've been doing.
hasn't
Tell
been
him what I've been doing.
looking.
I saw you hiding, but I need to
Okay.
get
Tell him what I've been
this.
doing.
Okay.
Good.
I've been watching him, and he hasn't been looking at the live
When I took myself out, that's when I did it.
Okay.
Take it easy.
Can I get that, please?
watching.
Yeah.
What?
I got it.
No, you
right?
didn't.
Yeah, I did. I said
Replacements?
Riley. No. He just said this.
What was it?
What was it?
Whoever. Want me to say it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, we lose.
Riley.
Yeah.
AVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you wait to read the questions until we're done
I
having
thought
a
it was
conversation?
over. I'm sorry.
When the adults are talking, the kids shut up.
I'm getting accused like Makuga hearing about the blue fairy.
All right.
Can I talk now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't answer the phone. Don't
Makuga.
Oh, early shot.
No.
Scream.
Yeah.
Damn it!
Ah,
All right.
Yeah.
Nicely done, boys.
I forgot my name.
Doing it Red Fury.
All right. This is my favorite one. The coast is toast.
Mark Riley.
Mark Ryle Ellis got it.
Yeah, that'd be Deep Impact.
No.
Oh, Christian.
I said.
Oh, you got it. Wait, really?
Yeah, he said it.
It goes in order.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the order that you heard it.
Yeah.
Battle Los Angeles.
No.
Christian. Armageddon.
No.
The coast is toast. I called it. I thought that's not. Those are my guesses.
Oh yeah, I got it now.
I know it.
Yeah, I got
Toast
it now.
is toast.
Help me out.
Oh yeah.
We can't help you, dummy.
That's what it is.
Help me
Is
out.
it Battlefield?
Nope.
Not
All
Battlefield.
right,
Battleship.
I'm gonna get it was Volcano, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, damn it.
But why is
We suck at this game, guys.
Because it takes place in Los Angeles.
All right. Nice.
Oh,
right.
see, I didn't even think of that.
Her life was in their hands.
Makuga.
Yeah.
Son of a beast thing. Splash.
No.
Splash. Do you want to finish, Cody?
Yeah, finish the rest of it. Now.
Okay. Her life was in their hands. Now her toe is in the mail.
Riley.
Yeah.
Farts and farts. It's
Christian.
so easy.
Oh, yeah, wait. Damn it.
The Big Lebowski.
Damn it.
Yep. Got it.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
I
should have waited.
We gotta have a rule of how long you can say your name and then wait and think
Riley
about
goes to
5
two.
seconds. We'll go for
Riley
5
goes to
seconds.
two.
I never knew that was the tagline. That's cool.
it. Makes sense.
Mischief,
Farts.
mayhem,
Oh.
Riley.
soap.
Fight Club.
Damn it.
Yeah, is that it?
Hey,
Riley,
wins.
right.
Is that it?
Riley wins.
I'm not fast in my neck.
Riley takes the belt.
Wait, can we give Alicia something like when she just screams of annoyance?
She should get it. Someone just do like a give a. I forgot my name.
That was fun. I like that.
That's a good game. You know who would hate playing that game is Emperor Palpatine because he's got to say Sheev every time. Sheev.
No, say your first name.
Stop laughing at me.
My mind just goes blank during that.
What was it? I didn't read what that was. Yes, give something away. What you can put on the.
Give book away.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Chris Taylor was nice enough to loan us an extra copy of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. We're gonna give it away.
Let's give it away. So you know what? Hey, Copster, you got any Schmoes No trivia?
Oh gosh.
You got any? You don't remember? You know, let's think of one. We'll think of a Schmoes No trivia. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're gonna have.
No, Alicia, that game's done.
We'll give somebody 3 chances. We'll give them 3 questions. Think about Schmoes No trivia. Turn the phone lines on 424-253-0504. We'll have somebody call in. Okay. And everybody think of a question, podcast related, from any of the 5 phases, and they have to get at least one out of like say 5.
1 out of 3.
1 out of 3.
1 out of 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 out of 3. So call in 424-253-0504. You can win a copy of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe by Chris Taylor that he left here. Call in, but you have to know your Schmoes No trivia.
And you have to be in the United States because you guys got to send.
Yeah, you got to be in the United States also. So.
Sorry,
Australia.
Yeah, so
you got to live on the Death Star. You want to be in the Empire.
So call on in, and then we'll get started with this. And it's got to be you got to know your stuff because we had somebody calling last time didn't know what it was. So we can ask a question.
Yeah,
everybody have something kind of lined up.
Yeah,
Makuga, you want to ask the first one?
Sure.
All right. So JT, lines are open. They're not open. That a girl. All right. So we have. Let's see. We're also talking about what do you think is going to be the next movie that's good?
That's good.
Yeah.
It follows.
I think.
You mean like a big one?
Yeah, we got somebody.
I think Cinderella.
All right. Hey, you're in Schmoville. Who do we got? Mm-hmm. Hey, you're in Schmoville. Who do we got? Good for them. All right. Next,
Is this Tom Green's show?
Hey, you're in Schmoville. Who do we got?
Hey, this is Dylan Esposito.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey,
Dylan. Dylan, do you think you know your Schmoes No trivia? Can you win this game?
I sure hope so.
All right, Makuga, you ask the first question to Dylan.
Dylan, okay. Besides Maria Menounos, name the 2 girls that chose me in the Celebrity Impression Dated game.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I know this.
Oh, gosh.
Riley knows it? I'm see if I know it. I know one.
Oh, gosh.
I don't remember the first
one. The one girl from Shameless. I can't think of her name.
No, she was. No, that's right. We'll give him another.
Yeah, it was not Shanola Hampton.
All right. So that one you got wrong. But who were the 2 girls, Makuga?
Kristen DeLuca and Kellen Coleman.
Right. I know it wasn't Kellen Coleman. He didn't come. No, it wasn't. It was Stella Maeve.
Oh, Stella Maeve.
You didn't even right.
Get your own question right.
Dylan Makuga didn't even know the answer. All right. Copster's got one for you. All right, Copster, what do you got?
Okay, I have 2 in my head, but what one of these video game actors, voice actors, was on our show? Name one of them. We had 2.
Name a famous voice actor that has been on this show.
Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah,
that
okay.
counts.
Yeah, that counts.
That counts.
I was thinking of Matthew Mercer, Roger Craig Smith.
The reason why I'm going to say it's a good question. I was going to say it was a softball, but the reason why it's good is because it pertains to the Star Wars book. Congratulations, Dylan. You get a copy of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe by Chris Taylor. Great book, too. Check it out. Okay, guys. Fun shows. That was awesome.
It was great, man. And make sure you guys pick up a copy of How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. Best way to do it is through Amazon. Any online book store will likely carry it, so check it out. There's just so much great stuff in there. Even for a hardcore Star Wars fan like me and Christian, you're going to learn a lot, so check it out.
And if you want to hear more of Chris Taylor, he's going to be on Jedi Alliance, and you make sure you check that out on Monday with Ken Knapsack and Mark Riley. They're going to be there.
Ask him who his favorite Star Wars character is. You guys do that every week, right?
That's right.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and if you didn't know already, you can find myself, Mark, and Alicia on AMC Movie Talk. I'm going to be starting Jedi Council next week with Maude Garrett. Make sure you check that out as well. And Alicia's got it.
Starting AMC Rewind.
Yeah,
Talk
a lot
about
of
classic films.
great stuff happening over at Phase 3 of AMC. So make sure if you're not subscribed there, do that. I'd like to thank the entire crew. Mark Riley, good to have him back. Josh Makuga, Ken Knapsack, Upham, Ace, Copster, JTE, the whole damn crew. And you guys are the best. So make sure and share. Listen, if you people make sure you vote for us again. Podcast Awards. SmoeAwards.com. And if you think people will enjoy this show, share that with them. Tell them about it. Let's grow Schmoeville together.
Here it comes.
Follow at Future Boy, Chris Taylor, at Alicia Malone, at Christian Harloff, at 5150 Ellis, at Schmoes No, R.I.P. Leonard Nimoy, get well soon, Harrison Ford.
Peace out, Mother F's.
Bye.
From producers Christian Harloff, Mark Ellis, and the entire Schmoes No crew, we would like to thank you for listening to the Schmoes No Movie Show. Promotional consideration provided by SchmoesNo.com and How Star Wars Conquered the Universe. Special thanks to Kevin Undergaro and Maria Menounos, the author of Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness in stores now. To watch or listen to other Schmoes episodes, get movie news, and join the conversation, be sure to visit SchmoesNo.com. The views expressed were the opinions of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of the network, especially anything Alicia Malone squeaked. I'm the pit boss, kind of back, and this has been a presentation of Schmoes No.